welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
The Denver Broncos are halfway there. 8 straight wins to start the season. Dominating their opponents like few have done. Each successive win taking them one step further from their competition and one closer to history. Whispers of 1972 in the Miami Dolphins. Today, the next challenge, the San Diego Chargers, as the Broncos go for 9 straight.
Behind his blockers and coming down on the right side.
The NFL's only unbeaten team plays in Mile High Stadium and today tries for its 10th consecutive win in the regular season, dating back to last year. Today they take on the 3-5 San Diego Chargers. It's crisp and dry in Denver, a perfect day for football. In the rugged AFC West, where the Broncos lead, and the Oakland Raiders have just lost by 3 in Baltimore. Kansas City and Seattle about ready to kick it off up at the Kingdome in the Pacific Northwest. Hi again, everyone, with Coach Sam White. This is Kevin Harlan. We just saw the Miami Dolphins of the 70s, a perfect 17-0 record. Can this Denver team do the same thing in the 90s?
Well, let's analyze this thing. They've got a solid defense. They've got a place kicker that's a record setter. They've got a running back that's on pace to set an all-time rushing record for the NFL. And they've got a quarterback named John Elway, who, if I'm guessing right, he's only a half a dozen plays away from setting a 50,000-yard mark for himself on number 2 behind Dan Marino.
Which is pretty impressive, and like we said, they'll probably do that in the first quarter today. But they'll do it against a defense ranked number 1 in the National Football League and number 1 against the run.
And led by Junior Seau, but they are number 1 in a lot of categories right here. 68 yards per game given up, 3.3 yards on first down. That sets them up in advantage thereafter, and 2.4 yards per carry. Pretty outstanding numbers, Kevin.
The top run defense against the number 1 rusher. Something's got to give in Denver today. We're back with the kickoff next.
Mitsubishi Montero Sport, rugged styling, 3-liter V6, well equipped with 24/950.
Welcome back to Mile High in Denver, where the Broncos will receive the opening kickoff. John Carney to keep it deep. Hebron is back along with Darius Johnson. We are underway from Mile High. Vaughn Hebron from the 7-yard line for the Broncos. He gets a block and breaks a tackle and staggers his way out to the 20-yard line before he is tackled by Jerome Williams.
And Bubby Brister coming out. You know, we noticed in the pregame warm-up that John Elway was having a little problem. I thought it was an equipment problem, but Bubby Brister will start. He's hitting 60% of his passes. He's already thrown 8 touchdowns today. We'll find out later what's the matter with John Elway.
This will be his 3rd start of the season. And the one thing that Brister has said publicly is the thing that turned his career around, a great off-season conditioning program, so he was ready. And he takes Elway's spot in the starting lineups. This just announced seconds ago from the 21, 1st and 10. And he throws to the top receiver, Ed McCaffrey, on a quick slant to the 27, picks up 6, setting up 2nd down and 4.
A little bit of a mystery there. No advance notice on that switch at quarterback.
Denver Broncos on their line, good and big, with Jones, Schlereth, Nalen. Dan Neal is a young player, and Harry Swain is a former San Diego Charger. Davis, blocking back Griffith, receivers Smith and McCaffrey. The tight end is Shannon Sharp. From the 27-yard line, 2nd down and 4. Brister with time, got a quick back to Neal and gets a pass downfield, caught by McCaffrey at the 50. He beats Charles Timley. He picks up 23, and he gets the 1st down, and Brister right on the money. The San Diego defense is number one coming into today in the National Football League. Number one against the run because of Hand and Perella. Coleman and Ray Johnson are outside. Linebackers, maybe the strength of that middle, with Lou Bush, Junior Seau, and Kurt Gavea. And in the secondary, the cornerbacks Dimry and Shaw, the safeties Rodney Harrison and Greg Jackson, the ex-New York Giant. John Elway has come on to the sideline. We'll try to get an update on him in just a second. On the 50, a pitch out goes to Terrell Davis with the block from Griffith, and Davis is down to the 49. Tackled by John Perella with no gain. It'll be second down and 10.
First down is a big down for the San Diego defense. They're holding teams to very few yards. That sets up second and long, third and long. John Elway warming up. He doesn't seem to be in a great deal of pain. He was kind of half jogging out, so we don't know if it's an arm or some other part of his body that was a problem there. Obviously, though, during warm-up, something happened because he was okay when he first came out.
So Bubby Brister starts, second down and 10 from the 49 of San Diego, and a handoff once again to Terrell Davis. Breaking tackles into the 45 on a gain of 4, and strong safety Rodney Harrison makes the tackle.
Rodney Harrison's going to be around the ball all day long. He had 132 tackles last year. He's on pace to have over 100 again this year. They are going to have him up around the ball, though, for the 8th man. They call it in the box. That just means 8 people close to that line of scrimmage to stop the run, puts more pressure on the cornerbacks.
When you ever a head coach, did you ever make a last-second switch at quarterback like the Broncos have done? Brister for Elway to start?
Only in an emergency, Kevin. You wouldn't do it unless something unexpected happened right at the end of warm-up.
They're down in 6 from the 45. Time for Brister. He throws an interception. Rodney Harrison up to the 46. It's Harrison's 3rd of the year. And the San Diego Chargers pick off Bubby Brister, his 3rd pick of the season.
Now right here, you'll see the tight end slides to the outside. The ball is thrown to the inside. The reason is an interception. New quarterback.
Explanation yet why John Elway is not started. The interception by Rodney Harrison off of replacement Bubby Brister. And so San Diego starts at the 46. Ryan Leaf is the quarterback, the second player taken in the draft. On 1st and 10, he'll go right to work. Runs up, hit, and sacked at the 43 by Keith Traylor. And Ma'a Tanavasa, number 98. We just saw Ryan Leaf get sacked for the 20th time this year. On the line, Jackson, Taylor, Fortin, rookie Jaycox, and Raleigh McKenzie moves from guard to tackle because of the injury to Vaughn Parker. Running back to Tone Means, right in back of the leading rusher in the AFC, Terrell Davis. Wendell Davis is the H-back. Steele and Ricks are the wide receivers. And the tight end is Freddie Jones. And with the sack, it is second down and 13 yards to go. Davis in motion. Handoff goes to Means. And that'll light up the middle. Maybe a gain of a yard near the 45. Setting up 3rd down and 11. Denver's defense comes in 19th ranked in the NFL. On the line, Smith, Traylor, Trevor Price, a good-looking young second-year player, and Ma'a Tanavasa, the right defensive end. Linebackers, Bill Romanowski may be playing the best of any Bronco defender, with Cadrez and John Mobley, an emerging star at outside linebacker. And in the secondary, which may be the only weakness on the team, Crockett and Gorey and the cornerbacks, Gorey and a former Charger, and it is Brown and Atwater as the safeties. On 3rd down and 12 from the 44. Leap from the gun, the drive by Price, and Leap going deep. He's got a receiver still incomplete. Inside the 10. The receiver was open, the pass was long and uncatchable and incomplete.
This is Brian Still. He's just going to go right down the middle right now. He's working against Darian Gordon. Steve Atwater, the safety, as you can see, not in center field. Just an overthrown pass, and this is a young quarterback that needed that one in the biggest way. They have not scored on the opening drive in 29 ball games.
Punt by Darren Bennett, and picked up by Gordon at the 20-yard line, and he flies up near the 36 on a return of 14 yards. Darian Gordon has the best return average of any player in the history of the NFL returning punts. We expect to see Elway, and sure enough, here he comes. No score in the first quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. IBM, are you ready for e-business? And by Claritin.
Back in Colorado, where the Denver Broncos have brought in John Elway here in the first quarter from their own 35. Detron Smith replacing the injured Howard Griffith. Went out with an ankle. Davis in the backfield and Elway out of the pocket right to work. Being chased by Bush and throws down the sideline incomplete. He was zeroing in on the fullback Detron Smith. John Elway comes into today as the 6th rated passer in the National Football League.
Needing only 42 yards passing today to go past that 50,000-yard mark. Dan Marino has thrown more, the only quarterback to have thrown more. And, you know, watching him roll out that time, there didn't seem to be any problems, certainly not limping. I think there was an equipment problem. We haven't got any word yet. We'll let you know as soon as we do.
Second down and 10 from the 35. Elway to the air once again and throws a pass caught for a gain of 12 by Rod Smith. Mike Shanahan is the coach of the Denver Broncos, now the highest paid coach in the NFL. They redid his contract in August. And the interim head coach of the San Diego Chargers, with the Gilbride firing back in mid-October, is June Jones, a former head coach for the Atlanta Falcons.
A lot of respect for June Jones. You know, he put his job on the line with an argument that he had with Jeff George back in Atlanta. Gained the respect of his teammates, but it cost him his job in Atlanta.
Now Elway 30 yards away from 50,000. Handoff on first down and 10 goes to Terrell Davis. Davis with over 1,150 yards on the season. He's off to a unbelievable pace for the year.
Well, what a matchup today, though. You've got the #1 run defense in football in the San Diego Chargers. You've got the #1 rusher in football. There you see him, Terrell Davis. And if that one's not working, they just go to one of the best passes in the history of the game. And a guy right there, it's Ed McCaffrey, who is having an outstanding year. He's become the go-to guy. Big, tall target at 6'5". Coming off on the sideline for this play.
If they bring him out, he's injured, and Marcus Nash, a rookie, at the bottom of your screen. Second down 11. Elway hit by Bush, throws the pass high and incomplete for tight end Shannon Sharp.
Anytime you put a new guy in there, Marcus Nash now is a rookie. He was going to the post. Shannon Sharp was going to the corner. Sharp, I'm sure, had the right of way. He was the primary receiver, but he was cut off by Marcus Nash down the field.
All right, so McCaffrey has gone off. Howard Griffith has gone off. And we just saw Shannon Sharp hobble off the field. Elway didn't start for some unknown reason. Not a good way to begin.
Not a good way to begin. And they dodged a bullet, though, because Bubby Brister's first series was intercepted. He was intercepted on third down, and a wide-open receiver down the middle was missed by Ryan Lee.
McCaffrey is back in, third down 11. You see just under 50% for the Broncos on third down. Elway tripping and falling and sacked back at the 37-yard line. Junior Seau. That is his first sack of the season.
Boy, the crowd is letting him have it because he came in there with a little extra something. Elway is on the ground laying down. He just trips. As you step away, if that offensive lineman kicks back too quick, he steps on the foot of the quarterback, throws him off. Now he's down. Now watch Seau right here. Little bit of elbow going towards that helmet. That's what the crowd's reacting to.
#1 punter in the National Football League, Tom Ruin, out of nearby University of Colorado, will punt from inside his 25-yard line. And Latariel Rashal is back inside the 24, San Diego. A great punt by Ruin. A flag has been thrown. And Rashal lets it wisely kick inside the 5 and then subsequently into the end zone.
And where that flag is thrown, it's usually somebody downfield too early. We may see this one kicked again.
Tom White is our referee today, a veteran of many years in the National Football League, and this will be the first flag.
That's what it was?
Against the Broncos.
Tom White, one of the best officials in the National Football League.
Eligible member of the kicking team, number 42. Downfield, penalties decline. First down. Timeout.
San Diego looks like they'd rather have it on the 20-yard line, not run the risk of getting backed up inside the 20.
That was a 63-yard punt by Ruin. Timeout in Denver. And this is something unexpected.
I'll tell you, last week against Cincinnati, he got a good shot to the rib cage. Don't want to speculate right now because we don't have any idea whether it's equipment or an injury, but that's the only thing leading into this that we got to go on.
He didn't start. Brister was in, and here's a handoff out of the shotgun. Leaf gives to Means, and Means keeps chugging away and picks up 4 when he probably should have gotten about a yard. Tanavasi makes the tackle for the Denver Broncos.
And we talked about Terrell Davis, but Natron Means is 800 yards coming into this ballgame. 4th leading rusher in the National Football League, 2nd in the AFC. One of the top rushers. In fact, you put him on a top running team, any top running team, he's going to be right at the top in total yards.
One thing the Chargers do lack is a passing game. Very disappointing so far.
That's what makes those 800 yards so spectacular for him.
They're going 2nd down and 6 from the 24. Leaf, with pressure in his face, throws outside to H-back Wendell Davis. Just his 2nd reception of the year for the rookie free agent out of Temple. The tackle made by linebacker John Mobley. He leads the Broncos in tackles this year.
Leaf right now is hearing June Jones talk to him in the headset. He can talk to him up to 15 seconds left before the end of the 40-second clock. We talked to June Jones last night. He said, I'm going to tell him the play. I'm going to tell him the formation. I'm going to give him a little bit of a tip on who to read. They have totally simplified their offense. Instead of calling every receiver, they just say one word, like Denver or Kansas or something, and it tells everybody what to do.
That'll be a huge help from the 26th, 3rd and 4 for the rookie quarterback out of Leaf from Washington State. Ricks and Jones receivers, and Leaf guns a pass where nobody stands, incomplete. Aiming, we think, for Charlie Jones, and 3 and out for San Diego. They got a punt for the 2nd consecutive possession.
Boy, you'd like for Leaf to get a little closer than that. I mean, he threw absolutely to the invisible man on that one. He has not thrown an interception, though, in the last 2 ball games, and that is progress. His turnovers were killing him earlier in the year. And June Jones hopefully is the magic elixir right here by just simplifying this offense so he doesn't have to think quite as much.
Darren Bennett will punt his 2nd today. He had knee surgery on the off week, and he is back punting. It was on his non-kicking leg. It was on his left leg, and the right-handed foot is high. Not very long. Landing at the 40. A great Broncos bounce toward midfield on a punt of just 29 yards by Darren Bennett. So we're going to see Bobby Brister, whose only pass today was picked off. There's no score in the first quarter from Denver.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Chevrolet Truck and by NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
And today is the 226th consecutive sellout at Denver's Mile High Stadium. We get our 3rd look now at the Denver Broncos with Bobby Brister as the quarterback.
I'll just tell you now, when we practice all week long, the quarterback that takes most of the snaps is the starter. That means John Elway probably took 9 out of 10 snaps during practice during the week. He came out here and warmed up. We were watching him warm up. Didn't seem to have anything wrong. So Bobby Brister, his mindset was not to take the first series of plays here. Of course, the interception that was thrown, it was a read play to Shannon Sharp, and he was to either break to the inside or the outside depending on the coverage. They misread each other. It resulted in an interception on the first drive. And you can see the concern on Mike Shanahan's face because now he's got to decide which play, remember basically, which plays did Bobby Brister work with? Which ones did he seem to have, comfortably under his belt? And basically have that conversation when Bobby comes off the field. Give me your top 5 or 10 plays.
For the first time, we've just gotten word on Elway. He sprained a rib cage muscle, will not return. It was something that he sprained in practice in warm-ups before the game today. From the 46, it's Brister with 1st down and 10 yards to go. McCaffrey and Smithers wide receivers. Handoff goes to Terrell Davis, breaking the tackle and finally brought down with the flag thrown. Charles Demery and Junior Seau make the tackle for the San Diego Chargers.
You hear a lot about Junior Seau as being the most important guy on that defense, but they really missed Kurt Gavale when he wasn't in there because he was the guy directing all the traffic. Of course, when Gavale went out, they had to shuffle the linebackers around.
Holding, number 89, offense, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Well, you couldn't hear Tom White, but it was on the tight end Carswell. Wayne Carswell with the hold, and they push it back now to the 34-yard line for Denver.
Denver is a team that blocks well down the field. Their receivers, their tight ends, anybody that goes deep down the field are really good blockers. They stay after it. Ed McCaffrey told us yesterday that it's something they drill on all week long. The coach stands there with a a dummy and they try to knock the coach over. That results sometimes in holding because they're after it so much.
Now at the penalty, it's 1st and 20 with the handoff fake. Gets Brister out in the flat. Good time. Wide open is McCaffrey, and he's got it first down to the San Diego 41. Gain of 19. Right now, let's go back to our CBS studios in New York with an NFL update with Jim Nance.
All right, Kevin, check it out. Kansas City with an early field goal against the Seahawks, but back they come. Seattle in the end zone with Ricky Waters to go up 7-3. And let's send it back to Kevin and Sam.
Oakland loses today in Baltimore. Those two teams coming at 4-4 behind Denver's 8-0.
Well, it changes everything. There's your unexpected loss by the Oakland Raiders, and now everybody's back in.
First down and 10 from the San Diego 41. Davis again, poking his way near the 39 with a gain of 2. One in hand in the middle of the defensive line for San Diego makes the stop.
He played just a moment ago, though, Bubby Brister rolling to his right. Now, Bubby is a tremendous ball handler. He's got the knack of making somebody think that he just handed the ball to somebody else, and he'll keep it. But when he rolled to his right, the receiver was trying to do a little stutter and go. He was going to stop and then run a go pattern, and he fell down. Bubby Brister knew where everybody else was. That's what you need in the backup quarterback.
Second down, long 8 from the 40-yard line for Brister, who's going deep to the end zone for Smith, and whipped through his hands incomplete. An outstanding coverage on the play by cornerback Terrence Shaw.
Rodney Harrison was blitzing. They were coming with 6 men, plus Harrison making 7 men in the blitz. 1-on-1 down the field. Terrence Shaw running step for step. And the ball's going to be thrown down the left side right here. Good protection. 1-on-1. You can see the safety coming from the inside. It's Greg Jackson, but he's no help. Actually, that is as good a throw as you can get. Just better coverage down the field by Terrence Shaw.
Brister's going to burn a timeout, and it's got to be unsettling for him jumping into a situation like this, although he's basically been a backup. He was a starter at Pittsburgh, and he started 2 games for Mike Shanahan already this year. Elway's injured. Timeout, Denver. There are the 2 stars. We're forgetting Jerry Stiller, but Leah Remini along with Kevin James, the King of Queens, one of the great comedies on CBS Monday nights, watching the game here in Mile High Stadium. Do that little dance for us, guys. Yeah, a little dance.
They've offered to help us up here if we need any. Glad they're with us in the booth.
And we need help. It's 3rd down and a long 8 from the 40-yard line for the Denver Broncos. In the shotgun, they bring the blitz. Sayal is knocked down. Brister going deep and looking for the rookie Nash. It's incomplete at the 2-yard line. And that was right in his hands. Another pretty good pass by Brister, who is fending off the blitz.
Mike Shanahan wanted to see his number 1 draft pick. He's going up against Demery right here. Just a straight move. Now look at Demery. He doesn't find the ball. See his head? He can't find the football, which is thrown to the outside. Now that's where the ball is supposed to be thrown. Bubby Brister, let me just tell you, a lot of animation going all the way back to those Pittsburgh days. I think I went up against that guy a few times, and he could throw it just like that.
Illegal motion. Number 80. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Kevin, when the ball's in the air like that, a long throw takes a high trajectory. So when you turn around as a defender, you want to look high for the ball. It's not going to be thrown on line. It's too far down the field. Charles Demery that time turned around and looked on a flat plane, it looked like. The ball was over his head, dropping on the outside shoulder, but it was just overthrown.
Another punt, 2nd consecutive for the Denver Broncos, and their great punter, Tom Ruin, who leads the NFL in punting, and Latario Rashawn, guy who played in the World League and started last year in Chargers special teams. Surprise, and he was a guy that was very effervescent with the team a season ago, and thus he was the main returner on punts this year, and he has a fair catch, and it sails over his head back to the 6, and Gerald Dixon was back there as well. Monday on CBS, Ted Danson stars as a doctor is not afraid to tell it like it is. Newsday calls his show the best new comedy of the year. Catch the new hit comedy Becker Monday on CBS. So back at the 6-yard line, stranded there. It's 1st and 10 for the San Diego Chargers.
And that would work just the way they wanted to. They wanted the ball kicked real high so a lot of people could get down there around the ball, down it at the 6-yard line. Tough spot for a young quarterback.
Means is back there. And a handoff goes to Means. He got a lead block from Wendell Davis. And he is out to about the 9 on a gain of 2. Bringing up second down and 8.
More so than anywhere else on the field, when you're backed up like this, you'll see defenses try to stack the runner up. In other words, don't take him all the way down. Try to hold him up. Let everybody else come in there and try to strip the ball loose. Means is the kind of the guy, though, that does not fumble the ball. He gets those big strips, holds on to it. June Jones, the interim coach of the San Diego Chargers. That's all he wants until he proves himself, he says.
Second down and 8. Ricks is in motion. Leaf, good time, swings it on the outside, caught by Means, and he is chopped down by Bill Romanowski. On he goes at the 7-yard line, third and long.
13th reception for Natron. Good hands, good runner, solid with the football in terms of fumbling, averaging 4.3 yards per carry. And on that particular play, Ryan Leaf dropped back with a very simple pattern. He had one man down the field. If he's covered, lay the ball off to Natron Means. That's what June Jones has done, and that's his plan the rest of the season for this young quarterback.
Leaf at his 7, third down and 9. And they are a dismal third down team in a handoff to try to get some breathing space. Goes to the twisting and turning Means. And he's up to the 8, and San Diego's got a punt for a third time. Back to New York, and Jim Nance with an update.
All right, Kev, the first pick of the 1987 draft, Vinny Testaverde, to the first pick in the draft, 1996, Keyshawn Johnson. And the Jets strike first in the matchup against the Bills. That is in the end zone. 7-3, they lead. Back to you.
Two pretty hot teams. Jets beat Kansas City last week. Buffalo comes in having won 5 straight. And the Darren Bennett punt is off the side of his foot and out of bounds. They'll mark him inside the San Diego 26. A 17-yard punt by Bennett coming off 5-week knee surgery. And they have really put the #1 defense in a tough position now.
Now the snap is good right here, but Bennett doesn't get a good grip on it, and the drop, when he let the ball go, it didn't have a smooth drop. Look, see, he's got the back of the football. You've got to have one hand in towards the front, one in the back, so that the ball lays just across the map of your foot. That time the ball was not dropped correctly, and that's when he went off the side. As you mentioned, he's coming off of his 12th knee surgery. He had 11 of them when he was playing Australian rules football. And he had that orthoscopic, say it for me. Orthoscopic. Had the bye week to rest.
Yeah, he had the knee surgery.
There you go.
On the 25, first and 10, good time for Bristol. Loads up and hits Rod Smith, his wide receiver. He's at the 19 of San Diego, picking up 6, and Junior Seau makes the tackle.
Now this is what San Diego's done to their defense all year long, though. Their offense hasn't moved the ball well. Special teams has given them field position, tough field position to try to defend, but they're the #1 defense in football in 4 different categories. #1 against the run, and in the red zone down here, very, very tough.
And again, John Elway is out. He pulled a muscle in his rib cage in the pregame warm-ups, and he is out for the rest of the day, and Bubby Brister is in.
Cal, the defensive coordinator with the Chargers.
Second down, short 4 to Davis. Inside the 15-yard line, and should be close to a first down. Late flag thrown at the 13. Marco Coleman makes the tackle.
Flag thrown from that side. Usually somebody lined up offside. No, this is going to be a personal foul. A big one. Very physical defense, the San Diego Chargers. They play physically all the time, and this is the result on occasion.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Number 37. Defense. Exhibition to the goal. First down.
Devin could not hear who the penalty was called against there. Tom White's number looks like Harrison, safety. Came in there, that was Junior Seau on the tackle, but Rodney Harrison somewhere along the line was getting a little too frisky, and they called it for it.
So after the 17-yard punt, Denver takes over at the San Diego 25, and now they've got it first and goal from the 7. McCaffrey is in motion. Brister with the handoff. Here comes Terrell Davis, and he's down to the 4. On a gain of 3, second down and goal.
San Diego, very tough. Only 40% of the time do they give up points down here in the red zone. On the other side of the ball, though, Denver scores points 2/3 of the time, over 66%.
Look at San Diego, the #1 run defense has done against Terrell Davis today.
6 yards, 11 carries. Terrell Davis needs to do a lot better than that.
Final minute of the first quarter. Second down goal. Brister got a great block from Smith. Chased by Johnson into the end zone and incomplete. Detron Smith bought a lot of time for Bubby Brister. And that pass rushing Rayleigh Jackson came in from the side. He's taking the place of the injured William Fuller.
You see right there, 40% of the time this season, the NFL average now is 52%. That means half the time that the team gets into your red zone, you're giving up points. Not so if you're playing the San Diego Chargers.
This would be a huge defensive victory here if they can hold them on 3rd and goal.
Well, there's been field position given up on both sides early in the game. Denver gave up field position. San Diego's now giving it up. Let's see if they can hold him.
One running back is Davis. Fake handoff by Brister. Finds the screen. Wide open is Davis for the Denver touchdown.
Davis is going to slip in and go out into the flat. And what happens right here, man-to-man coverage in the red zone, you see it a lot. You see him open in the corner. In man-to-man coverage, when they think there's a run, they drop coverage, and a guy like Terrell Davis can slip out into the flat. And here's Bubby Brister's reaction to the touchdown.
Extra point is put up and in by Elam. And the Denver Broncos draw first blood with the touchdown pass, the first of the year to Terrell Davis. And they go up on the San Diego Chargers 7-0. On CBS, no John Elway, a pass into the end zone from Bubby Brister, and it's 7-0. The Broncos over the 3-5 San Diego Chargers.
I can tell you that the Denver offense is getting over there together. Offensive linemen get together and say, we've got to block even better than we would have with John Elway. Everybody tries to take up a little bit of the slack, but Bubby Brister, let me tell you, is coming in doing a terrific job.
Kick off, and Tremaine Stevens will take it from the 1-yard line, and his third running back is pulled down heavily on the play by Darius Johnson. No running room for Stevens. And Johnson with the tackle at about the 15-yard line.
Here he comes, straight down. Johnson trying to weave his way through. See him pass it, all the white shirts. All those guys are supposed to be blocking somebody. He's finding his way, though, to the running back. There are certain guys, and we used to look for them in training camp, there's certain guys that had a knack for avoiding the open field block. They just couldn't get hit. Darius Johnson's one of them. 5'9", 185, maybe he just kind of hides some folks a little bit.
Plays in the nickel and the dime. He could probably start for a lot of teams in the NFL. From the 16, Leaf again with poor beginning position, 1st and 10. It's Means, who was whacked by Keith Traylor and Steve Atwater on a gain of 1.
June Jones told us last night that probably the best running play that Natron Means runs is a counter play where you start the action one way and then it comes back, usually pulling a guard. It's exactly the play they just ran. But Denver has obviously looked at some film and they know what the best play is and they've defended it. They're trying to take as much pressure off that young quarterback as they can, and this running back is the key to that.
Means behind Leaf, 2nd down and 9. Short pass caught by Burke, the H-back, and he's got a 1st down and a gain of 16. His first completion today, and he is up to the 35 and the first down of the day.
John Burke creates a mismatch. When he's out of the backfield lined up like that, you usually get a linebacker trying to cover it or he splits his own. Here's a veteran player, though, played in Super Bowl 31 with New England.
And with the Jets, he came from the Jets, and that's the end of the first quarter. John Elway is up, and Brister is going to touchdown pass. We'll return to Mile High Stadium in Denver after this, as you're watching the NFL on CBS. We begin the second quarter at Denver's Mile High with a 1st and 10 for San Diego from the 33. Ryan Leaf just made his first down pass of the day. A good one it was to John Burke, and on first down here, he hands off to Natron Means, who is up to 2 to the 35, and tackled by Keith Traylor and Harold Hasselbeck. There is no John Elway the rest of the day. A strained rib muscle in warm-ups gone, and Brister, who is taking his place, has thrown a first-quarter touchdown pass to the Broncos. 7-0 Denver here early second quarter.
You know, I used to tell my guys, all of them, warm up a little bit in that locker room. Make sure you're a little bit loose, especially if you've got a chilly afternoon. It's not cold out here, but it's chilly. It looked like John Elway, though, just had one of those quick warm-up throws and something popped.
And we'll see if Denver's offense continues to pop. Second down and 8. Lead blocked by Davis, where they are all over Means, smothering him at the 35. Tackled by Traylor and Glenn Cadrez. Coming up in the NASDAQ Amex halftime report, Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and George Seifert. We have all the scores and highlights for you. A busy day. It's all coming up in the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. The biggest surprise to me, Atlanta going to New England and beating the Patriots at Foxborough.
Okay, I'm not that surprised. Not at Atlanta. I'm surprised a little bit that New England hasn't rebounded and played better. But Atlanta is a better football team than anybody thought they'd be this year.
Leaf has deployed 4 receivers on 3rd and 8. The time throws. The pass was trapped by Webster Slaughter, a seasoned veteran. Wouldn't have had enough for the first down anyway. He was up to the 38-yard line. The Denver defense is out there popping as well, and they force another punt by San Diego, the 4th in 4 possessions.
I blame that a little bit on Ryan Leaf, entirely on Ryan Leaf. You can't lead a receiver right into coverage like that. As a quarterback, you've got to see the defense as well as the receiver you're throwing to. And that's probably what Gene Jones is talking about. If you throw out there, you got to stop the receiver with the throw.
Bennett, who last time punted for 17 yards, gets off another wobbly, not so long punt, landing at the 30. And it's loose at the 31-yard line. It touched the Bronco, unsuspecting in the back of his helmet. Scott Turner was down there, the ex-Redskin, and now you see the officials saying, indeed, Denver has the ball after a 34-yard punt by Darren Bennett of San Diego.
Looked like it was Tito Paul blocking, didn't know where the ball was, and the ball touched him, but Denver came up with it. You know, if you're a blocker down there, you got to listen for that punt returner. If the ball is short and wobbly like that, he's usually yelling, poison, poison, get away from it. As soon as you hear that word as a blocker, you find the ball yourself. Get away from it because the kick's not good enough to field.
And actually, Scott Turner, who was coming downfield as a headhunter for the San Diego Chargers, may have bumped into the receiver. The punt returner.
On the play. The ball went off the receiving team player out of bounds. It'll be Denver's ball at that spot. First down, timeout.
Elway is out. Brister and the Broncos get it back. Denver's defense has played well. There you see some of the coaches going over what they think is a pretty good defense here in Denver. A Super Bowl defense from the season ago, basically intact. A lot of young players, but now the Bronco offense, minus John Elway, who's injured at the 32 at the first down and 10 yards to go. Sharp is in, handoff going to Davis, and a lead block by Detron Smith, and the tackle made by Lee Johnson. And look at Davis, Sam, one of many low-round draft choices or undrafted players who will become contributors on this team.
I'll tell you, he is a guy that was nobody, a lot of people passed over him. Mike Shanahan was asked about being so smart to take him in the 6th round. He said, we were smart, we'd have taken him in the 1st round. This guy is obviously a 1st round, the top, I think, the top, not only running back, but probably the top performer in the National Football League at the halfway point here. 7 runs, 13 passes so far for Denver in this game.
Second down and 5. Pereira is blocked, and he just flips it across the middle by Brister. He hits McCaffrey for a first down. He's up to the 45-yard line, kicking up 8. And he gets a first, and he was whacked on the play by Norman Ham.
Here's McCaffrey right here. Now, when you've got a quarterback in there that scrambles around, you've got to scramble with him. If he moves to his left, you move with him. If he moves across the field, you've got to find the open throw. And that time, Ed McCaffrey did it. 6'5", 215 pounds, and he's played long enough now at 8 years that he knows exactly how to operate when you get a substitution like this at QB.
Well, as yesterday, worked with a track coach in the off-season to get more refinement to his run and his stride.
Well, he's fast enough. This guy's got plenty of speed at that side.
First and 10, an incomplete pass by Brister. He was getting it on both sides that time.
No, I think he threw that one away, but he certainly fooled the referee and everybody else. Now watch, as he stepped up, he could feel everything closing in on him right now. And just throw the ball so that it looks like you're trying to get the ball down the field, but because of the contact, it forces the ball into the ground like that. Marco Coleman was all over him. No chance for him to get much stuff on him.
Brister has played for Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, the Jets. Didn't play in '96. And he joined the Broncos a season ago.
Second down and 10. Now just get part of it, Bubby. You don't have to get it all on second down.
Number 45, a short drop, and a quick pass outside caught by Smith, who a season ago lassoed some 70 catches from Brister and Elway, and this year picks up his 40th catch right there of the season.
3 touchdowns already this year. Top receiver, though, big target at 6 feet. He's going. Bubby Brister now is just going to take now. Look at his back foot right here. You can see that his back foot turned immediately to the left, opened his hips to the left. He pre-read that throw. In other words, when he was under center, he decided before the snap he was going to throw the quick out to the left because he could see that the cornerback was laid off of Smith.
Brister was shaken up on that last play. He was hobbling a bit after he threw the catch.
You can see Brian Greasy here before it's over with.
He'll be the third quarterback. 3rd and 3. Outside it goes, caught by the tight end, Shannon Sharp. That's catch number 501. He is only one of 3 tight ends ever to catch 500 or more passes. The others, Ozzie Newsome and Kellen Winslow of the Chargers. As Brister gets a word from Shanahan on the sideline.
Of course, Shannon's brother Sterling also had over 500 catches as a pro player. Yeah, Bubby Brister gets nicked right here since John Elway is out of the ball game and is not going to come back in. As soon as Brian Greasy enters the game, Greasy would have to play the rest of the ball game until the third quarter. Until the fourth quarter. That's right.
First and 10, and flags are all over the place. As they took a pretty good swipe at Dan Neal, a second-year guard out of Texas, who's taken the place of Ryan Habib, who left for Seattle in free agency. And really, Neal has probably done a better job than Habib.
He's played well, although...
Approachment, number 96, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Norman Hand.
The problem here is that Daniel Neal is going to watch this. So right here, watch him in the right side. Bang. Now, he's going to see this on film tomorrow, I would say between 50 and 60 times by his teammates. Saying, run that sucker again. Let's see it. Come on, Neal. You got to be ready for that. That was Norman Hand at 313 pounds. When he comes off early and you're not ready, that's what happens.
313 now. He lost 50 pounds during the offseason.
I'm really happy for him. I could not be more proud.
First and 5. Play action by Brister. Downfield by Sharp. He's to the San Diego 15. His second catch today. Rodney Harrison was there at the tackle. It's a gain of 24 and a good-looking pass by Brister.
Here's Sharp right here. Shannon Sharp at 230 pounds is part wide receiver, part tight end. As you see him come across the field, there aren't many tight ends in the league with that athletic ability and that much speed to get that far across the field. Remember, the quarterback doesn't have but about 3 to 3.5 seconds to hold that ball before he's got to release it, and Sharp came all the way across the field for him on that one.
And even as good as the great Ben Coates is in New England, Shannon Sharp has caught more passes in the 90s than any other tight end in the NFL.
Got 2 of them today.
7th play of the drive, and a swerving Terrell Davis is near the 12-yard line. And the defensive line had a hand in that with Corella and Hand in the middle, and that really has been the key to San Diego's run defense. Corella 97 you see getting off the field, and 96 Hand also getting himself off the floor.
Well, I think the fact that those 2 guys stuff the run up front, along with Rayleigh Johnson and Marco Coleman, they tie up the 5 offensive linemen of whoever they play. That allows the linebackers, Bush, Gavea, and Seau, to scrape and make the play. So the linebackers get more tackles, but those defensive linemen really create the situation. Bill Pascal done a terrific job with his defense in San Diego.
Second down and 8 from the 13. Brister out of the pocket rolling. Looks to his second option. In the end zone, and overshoots the tight end, Shannon Sharp. Incomplete pass, and Sharp was open.
He was open. Bubby got a little bit greedy there, though. He had Detron Smith in the flat for good yardage, not big yardage. Held the ball and went for the home run down the field. Had to drop that one in over the defense. So this is what San Diego's defense does, though. They may get beat it here and there, but they are strong. You're not going to find a weakness play after play. They're going to correct the weakness Joe Pascal is a guy that has a lot of different fronts, a lot of different coverages, a lot of different variations to the coverages. He can make corrections during the game.
See what his coverage is here on 3rd and 8. Shotgun for Brisker. 3 receivers sent out. Pass was intended and dropped at the 5-yard line for Willie Green, who has dropped some passes this year. And they're waving it off. Brisker is arguing the call, and it's incomplete. And Brisker, this is one of the things he's noted for, a very fiery personality.
Well, I'll tell you what, you better get away from those officials, because if they feel that he has touched an official, pushed an official, he's out of the ball game. The slant to the left side. Let's see if this... It looks like he had possession all the way down, and at the ground caused a fumble, which is no fumble, but it's going to go in favor of San Diego. Now look at Bobby Britt. Get the helmet back on, Bobby.
Because that's a penalty.
That's a penalty right now. But look at this right here. You get in the face of those officials, and I think somewhere down the line there's going to be a rule put in that when the officials are in their caucus, any player entering that area there is going to be penalized for it. That's not far down the line for the competition committee.
Here's Elam now, who is the author of a 63-yard field goal earlier in the season, trying for 31 yards away, and puts that up and down. And Elam, who had a disappointing 97, worked hard in the offseason to get back in shape and rededicated himself, puts that in. And the next is the Denver lead over San Diego, 10-0 in the second quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Sutter, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. Proficient, talk to your doctor today. And by Midas. For quality service, visit your neighborhood Midas today.
Welcome back to Denver, where it snowed a little bit yesterday morning. We went out to the Broncos training facility just south of the city, and they had a lot of snow out there, but in the city not much. It is cloudy, but no chance of precipitation, at least through this game, with the temperatures in the lower 40s. After a 31-yard field goal, Elam will kick off with the Broncos now on top, 10-0. And reserve running back Tremaine Stevens inside the 5 for San Diego will try to give him some good position, and he cuts outside, and it's a foot race up near the 35. Knocked out of bounds at the 38. Good return by Stevens. Tackle made by Eric Brown. A return to 35 yards, and the Chargers needed that in the worst way. Failing at Denver, 10-0. 8:45 in the second quarter. Time. John Elway is out. He is injured, and the guy who looked up to him growing up in Great Falls, Montana, Ryan Leaf, is now in a position to possibly steal the show, yet he trails 10-0 here in the first half.
Well, San Diego couldn't ask for a better situation with John Elway out of the ball game to get back into this one.
Leaf with play action on 1st and 10. Taylor can't get to the quarterback, and a pass incomplete. Romanowski jumping in front of tight end Freddie Jones. Alex Spanos spending a lot of money to sign not only Leaf, but he committed $97 million to free agents and rookies. John Jackson, Aaron Taylor, Roman Fortin, Natron Means was signed for. They traded up for Leaf. They traded up for Michael Ricks. They hired June Jones and Joe Bugle. They spent a lot of dough.
They have. They're right at the cap, too. They're just a few $100s, not a few thousand or 100,000 or a million under the cap. They're right at the cap. Not a lot of room to maneuver.
And Leaf is going to burn a timeout as it was facing 2nd down and 10 yards to go.
Spent too much time in the huddle. Remember, we said that June Jones is going to be telling him what to do, but he's got to get him out of that huddle.
Charger timeout with the Broncos shutting out San Diego.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by First Union, your guide to the financial world, and by Stanley. Make something great.
Well, I know we're chilly with jackets. Just think how chilly he must be.
How do you think he voted on the new stadium issue?
I bet he's one guy who voted yay.
Oh, he wrote in Dome Stadium. What are you talking about? You don't want to keep this up much longer in the season as it gets colder.
It's 2nd down and 10 for Leaf from his own 38. They hand off to Means, who helps blocking the rookie Price, or the second-year defensive end Price, and a pass incomplete going to Brian Still, covered by Ray Crockett. Incomplete pass.
You know, this jurisdiction. You brought this up yesterday, Kevin. That young quarterbacks had somebody. When Elway broke in, Steve DeBerg, Joe Montana, Steve DeBerg was there. Kenny Anderson was there in Cincinnati when Boomer Esiason started. Don Strock and Marino. There's nobody here in San Diego for Ryan Leaf to call his mentor, somebody that he can watch on the field. I can tell you, you can listen to lectures in the classroom, you can listen to what the coach says on the field, but if you watch a veteran do it on the field and hang out with him, you move faster into this league.
3rd and 10, shotgun snap. Here comes Neil Smith, little screen pass. And it's caught by Freddie Jones, who got tangled up with the umpire in the middle of the field. He picks up 8, but not enough for a first down. He's just by the 45, and it will be a punting situation.
Now watch, the offensive line is going to form initially, and now they let everybody go, and they turn forward. You see them look forward. Now they can go downfield. Once the ball is thrown, if the umpire will get out of the way, once the ball is thrown, they can go downfield and block, but only to the 46-yard line, and that's as far as they've gotten all day long. They have not got any farther than their own 46-yard line.
Finally, Bennett gets one high as he jacks it up near the 7. A flag is down, and the Chargers down the ball at the 7-yard line. But the flag is there. A 45-yard punt by Bennett, who has had a struggling afternoon. And it's on the Chargers. That was their 5th punt in 5 possessions. They began their first 3 with 3 plays in punt.
Nose one lineman downfield, number 53. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
53, Michael Hamilton, a reserve linebacker.
What happens when you're kicking into the red zone, you get people that want to get down there in a hurry to get around the ball before it rolls into the end zone. That's when more of these kinds of penalties happen, where players will leave early because they want to get one step jump, hoping that the officials generally give you about 1.5 yards or 2 yards at the line of scrimmage to get underway, but that time, a little too much.
Chargers were off last week, had a bye, and before that they lost at home to Seattle 27-20. Big day for Joey Galloway. But a punt return and a long touchdown pass. And the Broncos coming off a 33-26 win at Cincinnati. They truly got a scare in the Queen City as the punt is inside the 30, loose, and they pick it up. Darian Gordon is going outside, being chased by Rashad Bennett. Tries to get by the blocker. He does, and in the process knocks Darian Gordon out of bounds. A 35-yard return by the #1 guy in the history of the league in an average of over 13 yards per return, Darian Gordon. Well, tomorrow it's Outtake Monday on CBS. Catch all the new episodes of your favorite comedies: Cosby, King of Queens, Everybody Loves Raymond, and Becker, starring Ted Danson. Plus, all night long, see the stars swab up in their most hilarious outtakes ever. That's tomorrow night on CBS. As the defensive coordinator, Greg Robinson.
2 solid defensive coordinators in the field opposing each other. And 2 good defenses. #1 against the run. That's why we haven't seen more run the ball, even though he's got a backup quarterback who's Buddy Briscoe in the game. John Elway pulled a muscle in warm-up.
Empty backfield for Briscoe. The rush comes on. Coleman is chasing him. Perella is chasing him. And finally, he throws a pass to his great tight end, Shannon Sharp. It's a first down. There was a wonderful block thrown by Ed McCaffrey. It's a gain of 12 when it looked for certain that he was going to be down with the sack.
Let me tell you, mobility is important for a quarterback, but when a quarterback hasn't been practicing with the starting unit, he's going to come and go to his right. Pressure. Actually, no pressure. It's just time is run out. But coming across the field now, here comes Shannon Sharp from the backside. Look at the block right there by Ed McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey, number 87. Look at him right here. Bang! Oh! That's Kurt Govea that he hit on the open field.
While playing handoff to Al Davis, bulldozing his way for a gain of 8 to the Charger 41. Rodney Harris in the tackle.
You know, the question needs to be asked, why aren't they just running the ball play after play? Well, the reason is that this is the #1 run defense in San Diego. They've got a quarterback that is not a novice. This is not a young quarterback. He has started in this league, and the players around him know that he can play. He's played this season, started 2 games already this year, has 8 touchdowns, has completed over 60% of his passes. In fact, if he had a quarterback rating coming into this, it'd be over 110, which would be one of the top ratings in the league.
Yeah, not enough passes or time on the field to qualify for the ratings. Second down and short 3. Griffith is out of the net, and so they've got Deetron Smith in there as a lead blocker for Davis, who picks up a meager half yard near the 40. It'll be third down in about a yard and a half.
You know, going back to that block that Ed McCaffrey just made on the previous play, we talked to him yesterday in the hallway there, as it turned out in Denver at their facility. But he talked about how they stressed blocking. That you've got the offensive line gets that running back underway. With a running back like Terrell Davis, he's going to break into the open field a lot of the time, and it's that downfield block that scores the touchdown.
You see more of an emphasis on that from team to team.
It's a very big part of the ball game. In fact, if you don't have defensive backs that are mad at their wide receivers, then they're not doing a good job.
Third down, about 2. Davis trying to go in. He flags Perella for a first down. If anybody ever questions the strength of Terrell Davis, right there they get the answer, because Perella comes in at 299 pounds.
Just man-to-man blocking. Now watch, he's going to turn back upfield. As soon as he does, nowhere to go. Perella's coming off of the block. Before the play started that time, Ed McCaffrey was uncovered. There was no coverage on him. John Elway had been in that ball game. I bet you we would have seen a quick count and just a quick throw out to the outside, and it would have been one guy in the open field. There was nobody around.
It looks like the Broncos, though, have really missed a beat with Brister Ridley. First down and 10. Good time, good block by Neal on a pass downfield. It's again caught knee high. And close to a first down, Shannon Sharp, the 6-time Pro Bowler out of Savannah State. Rodney Harrison, the strong safety, was on his trail.
You know, coming into this ball game, I thought this would be one of the big matchups. Sharp against Harrison. You're going to see Sharp now. He's going to come across the field. Bubby Brister, he has no fear. This guy right now, he moves up into the pocket, throws off his running foot. That wasn't a set-up throw. He was off balance a little bit. But the players, not just Bubby Brister, everyone around Bubby is trying hard to get open for this guy because they know he'll scramble.
And they give him the first down. They've thrown to Sharp 7 times today, and he's picked up 4 receptions from Bristol. Coming up in the NASDAQ Amex Halftime Report, Jim Nance, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and George Seifert will have all the scores and highlights. All coming up on the NASDAQ Amex Halftime. Seattle is leading Kansas City. Atlanta won at New England. Miami beat Indianapolis. And Oakland losing 13-10 at Baltimore. That was a surprise today. You got it. Here comes Terrell Davis for a meager gain of about a yard. He has put together a string of 7 consecutive 100-yard games, and the San Diego defense is not allowed a 100-yard rusher all season long.
Well, that's what I started to say. He hasn't faced a defense like this one, and we talked about that defensive line, but Hand and Perella up the middle, and Coleman and Johnson in the defensive line for San Diego, they force everything back inside. They're good contained guys. You know, they call it one gapping or two gapping, but if you've got one gap, if you're going to either go inside or outside that offensive block, or two gap guys just muscle the man over, and they've got the gap on the left and right. They've got both gaps. San Diego does a great job of that.
On the 26, second down and 8. He goes over first, and again hits his tight end Sharp with his 5th catch, but not much there, and Rodney Harrison saw to that. He is again having another Pro Bowl type season at the safety.
Well, Rodney Harrison's got a little bit of linebacker in him. You can watch him play. He's around the ball just about 3 or 4 yards deeper than the linebackers line up. Still has coverage responsibilities, but when he hits, he uncoils into that guy.
Had him in tackles a year ago. Seau does this year, but here's a strong safety leading him in tackles, and he picked off an interception earlier in the game here.
See a safety over 200. He's 207 pounds. Safeties are getting bigger and bigger because more defenses are using them as San Diego uses Harrison.
3rd and 6. Shotgun handoff. Davis. Mammoth hole. Davis. First down. Davis looking to the end zone and touchdown. With a crushing block from Willie Green.
Shotgun, man-to-man down the field. Bubby Brister just makes a handoff. See, everything's sealed off from the inside. There's really nothing outside because everyone is down the field in man-to-man coverage. By the time they find the ball and react, Terrell Davis just a little too far. Look at him reach the ball across the goal line right there. That's a smart runner. He did the same thing last week against Cincinnati right at the corner of the end zone.
And he did the same thing week 1 against New England.
I tell you, all that has to cross the goal line is the ball, not the player.
Elam's extra point is up and in. Davis gets his second touchdown of the day. He had one on a 4-yard touchdown reception earlier in the game. That's a 24-yard touchdown run by Davis. It's all Denver.
You never know what your next job is going to be. One day it's the house, the next it's the hotel. Jobs keep getting bigger, deadlines keep getting shorter.
It's got to last a million years. Stand up to anything.
Turnaround times, they're insane.
Whatever it is, wherever it is, make something great. Stanley.
Well, Davis, a 24-yard touchdown run. That is the longest run allowed by the San Diego defense this year. 17-0 Broncos with an injured John Elway in the locker room. Tonight on CBS, Cicely Tyson, Blair Underwood, Queen Latifah, and Mario Van Peebles star in the story that picks up where Roots left off. CBS proudly presents Alex Haley's Mama Floor's Family on the CBS Sunday Movie tonight. 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Back at Mile High with a 8-play, 61-yard drive under their belt, a 17-0 lead. Broncos kick back off to the San Diego Chargers. And Stevens at about the 10-yard line, slipping. He got a block from Bynum. And an additional 4 or 5 yards up to the 23-yard line. And Tito Paul, a nice special teams performer for the Denver Broncos, makes the tackle.
Denver's I think they thought that was John Elway coming on the field. Someone wearing a little number 7.
Oh, John shrunk. From the 23, first and 10 for Leaf, now operating from the shotgun. And slings a pass incomplete at the 38-yard line. He was zeroing in on Michael Ricks, number 86.
We had a long conversation yesterday with June Jones and with Ryan Leaf. And both of them tried to explain what they're doing the second half of the season. They're simplifying everything they do, reducing the number of reads. In fact, cutting out the reads altogether. It's a progression system. He memorizes his number 1 receiver. If he's covered, he goes to number 2. If he's covered, he goes to number 3. And of course, June Jones is talking in the headset, trying to tell him, at least giving him a little bit of help as to what's going to happen on the next play. Leaf is 4 for 10, so all of that work hasn't paid off yet today. And this is San Diego's best chance. They're playing a team that is without their star quarterback in Elway. They're playing a team that lost Howard Griffith, the fullback, who'd been out with a hamstring, came back, aggravated again. He's out. Now the officials are talking about the time clock. The 40-second clock was definitely out of whack.
Tom White, our referee.
We need to reset the play clock to 25 seconds. Second down.
Remember, it's a 40-second clock after a normal play. The coach can talk to the quarterback up until there are 15 seconds remaining. At that point, everything cuts off. He can even talk to the quarterback after he breaks the huddle and goes to the line of scrimmage.
Leaf with second down and 10 from the 23. Great time for Leaf, winding up for Still, battling Crockett. The two collide, no flag, no yellow. It's incomplete at the Denver 32. That's the second time they've gone deep to Still in the first half.
Footing does not look to be very good right here. Everybody's slipping, including the officials. There's not a lot of pass rush. That generally means that you're not getting good footing. If your footing is not good, it helps the offensive blockers. Now look down the field. Both guys just jockeying for position. Nobody really pushing anybody away. Not enough for a penalty. Good call by the official.
Crockett was penalized 3 times last week and was really hit hard by Carl Pickens and Damon Gibson in that Cincinnati game, so he wins the battle there with Still. 4 receivers, third and 10 in the shotgun for Leaf. Down deep, he's got a receiver, and again he overthrows him. This time Webster Slaughter. Leaf has had receivers open, he just can't hit them, and they got a punt again. This is the 6th punt in 6 San Diego possessions today.
And what's happening here is the offense isn't staying on the field very long. The defense is not getting their recovery time, and it's going to wear them down as the game goes on. There's nobody to put in this ball game for Ryan Leaf. It's his ball game all the way. No relievers.
Leaf has not hit a wide receiver 0 of today in the first half. Bennett's punt is away, short, not very long, and again taking a Denver bounce to midfield. And that's where the Chargers get on it. After a 27-yard punt by Bennett, who's coming off of knee surgery earlier in the week. And yesterday, this is hallowed ground to so many people from Colorado and from the mountain area, and they had a little wedding ceremony here in the end zone at Mile High Stadium.
My invitation obviously was lost in the mail.
I didn't get mine either.
Okay, that's enough. Just a little kiss. Let's go.
This is a family show.
We got a ball game here.
It was right back there into their world champion sign.
Well, it'll be something they'll remember, isn't it? And as you mentioned, everybody's denying it took place, but we got it, baby. We got it on film.
So let's see what Brister does. Elway out, strained rib muscle. Got it in warm-ups today. And Brister started the game. They did put Elway in for a series. He was sacked, and we haven't seen him since. He's in the locker room and in streak. Goes down first and 10, Brister. Right to work. Got a great block from Neal. Another one from Swain, and goes downfield. And he hits Terrell Davis at the San Diego 35. It's a gain of 15 right now. I don't think there's any question. In our pregame show talked about it today that Terrell Davis is truly the first half MVP in the NFL.
Oh, I think he is. Not just because he's a good runner. He does a good job blocking, but as a receiver down the field. Now, he's not just catching the easy little layoff passes. He's working his way open. You know, what's happening right here with Bubby Brister in the ball game with the early injury to Elway, everybody is playing over their heads.
We've reached the first half. 2-minute warning. Brister taking the place of Elway, 17-0 Denver. They just keep right on going with the only undefeated team in the NFL up by 17.
You know what's interesting here and important to Denver, no muff snaps from center with Brister in the ball game. No offensive lineman jumping off sides with a change of the inflection in the voice of the snap count. This is a team that has practiced before the program.
Brister on first and 10 has hit his last 5. Going to McCaffrey. What a catch! Inside the 5. He beat veteran Charles Dimry on a gain of 32. Another good-looking pass by Brister.
Charles Dimry right here is replacing Dwayne Harper, has been all season long. Look at McCaffrey, though. He just sees the ball longer. Dimry never saw the ball. He was looking at McCaffrey, and when McCaffrey went up, he tried to put his hands up between McCaffrey's hands, but McCaffrey out-jumped him and then kept his feet. He almost kept his feet all the way into the end zone.
McCaffrey looks great, but Brister, the surprise starter, has gone 14 of 21. He has hit his last 6 passes.
Well, we definitely have a quarterback controversy here.
First and goal. Terrell Davis tries to submarine his way in and sledgehammers his way to the 1.
And you can sense that the defense of San Diego now, they've just been worn down a little bit in this first half right here. Not enough time to recover. Just a straight handoff now here. Look at the pull around right on the right side by Daniel Neal. Straight up the middle. He's got to go over the last guy, which happens to be Junior Seau. He doesn't quite get into the end zone, but down to about the 1.5.
Man, is he strong, huh? Davis is strong.
Okay, just look at his arms. He's got a lot of power in the upper body as well as the legs.
McCaffrey in motion, second and goal. Here comes Davis again, tripped up by the great Junior Seau.
I'll tell you what, Junior Seau is all over the field. He's not just hitting one gap or one side of the field. He's reading the ball carrier. Very difficult for a backer to do that. You see the lineman dive down in the bottom, and here comes Junior Seau. And when the lineman dives straight down, they take away the offensive lineman from scraping up on the linebacker. It frees up Seau to come in and make plays like that.
Timeout taken by Brister. He faces third and goal, leading 17-0. And the NFL comes alive on CBS Sportsline, from in-depth team reports to sortable stats in the latest power rankings. Get complete NFL coverage at cbs.sportsline.com.
I'll tell you what, I am on that particular website a lot.
Is that where you are all the time?
That's where I am.
Call you during the week.
It's my happy place. But I go there. There are all kinds of facts, comparisons of teams each week, statistics about each player, and of course the team's statistics. But it really gives you some insight into what's happening each week in the NFL.
Third down and goal from the 1. That's the time remaining in the first half. Denver with 1 timeout, the Chargers with 2. Smith is ahead of Davis. Davis has scored 2 touchdowns already today. A big by Brister. No one open in the end zone. He takes it himself, throws the ball, and may have been picked off and dropped at the 6. Ray Lee Johnson was all over the play. No yellow on the play, at least from what we can see. Well, there may be one down at the 1-yard line. There is. The referee was standing on it and covered our view, but it is down. Could that have been a... he was outside the tight end, so he could throw it away.
They were holding Detron Smith. Nope, they're going to call it against the other side. Detron Smith ran into everybody on the San Diego side of the field, could not get open. Bubby Brister, though, trying to throw the ball. It's got to get back to or beyond the line of scrimmage. That ball didn't, but they call holding away from all of that.
And again, the defense of San Diego has played about as well as you can ask them to play with the terrible position their offense has given them most of the afternoon.
Well, they're carrying the entire football game. They've got to set up the offense as well as stop the opponent.
Holding, number 80. That penalty is declined. The ruling on the field was forward progress, was stopped. Therefore, there was no pass. It's 4th down.
And they'll try for 3.
Quick whistle. You got a quarterback carrying the ball. They're going to blow the whistle quickly. Mike Shanahan now maybe wants a timeout to think about this,
which will be his final timeout of the first half.
It's going to be a 4th down situation, and they've got to go all the way in. They got it 4th and goal, so they're going to be out about the 7-yard line.
What would you do?
Well, I think I'd just go ahead and kick the field goal right here. They've got control of the ball game. Why give San Diego any momentum at all? That's what they're doing. There was no timeout. Shanahan was trying to call it. Didn't get it.
26-yarder by Elam on a high snap put down by the punter Ruin. And Jason Elam over the last 5 years has scored more points than any player in the NFL. He tags on 3 with his second field goal today. And with 4 seconds left in the first half, it's now 20-0 Denver.
Rare combination with Elam. Not only is he accurate, but he's got distance. 63 yards. He lines up this year. Now this one, everyone is wondering, is it a fake? No, he's going to put it down. Good hold. Good carry. And that one just about split it. Maybe a half a yard left to center.
Along with Doug Ryan and Gary Anderson, Jason Elam first on his field goals this year, and with 2 today, he now has gone 12 of 12 on the season. And this, again, coming off his worst season as a pro in '97.
A good solid kickoff guy. Doesn't kick it into the end zone all the time, but he leaves it in the air long enough for the coverage guys to get down there. You know, many times you, as a coach, you like to have that ball kicked right at the goal line where they've got to bring it out, but leave it in the air long enough so that the coverage people are inside the 30-yard line. By the time they meet, they're at about the 12 to the 15-yard line, and you can actually cost field position for the return team that way.
And after his second field goal today, that one from 26 yards, he'll kick it off with a 20-0 Denver lead. And it's a line drive boot, which gets through the first wave and is picked up out of bounds by reserve wide receiver Charlie Jones. He's up to the 23 and a fumble and a flag. At about the 23-yard line. There's no time on the clock right now. A flag is down. There was a fumble. And this will take a moment or two to sort out with Tom White's crew.
Illegal block. Number 56 during the return. Penalty is declined at the end of the first half.
That's the end of the first half with the score of the world champion Denver Broncos 20, the Chargers nothing. Stay tuned for all the scores and highlights on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report after this message and a word from your local CBS station.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Amex halftime report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
Hi, Jim Nance. Welcome. CBS Broadcast Center in New York, NASDAQ Amex halftime report. And at halftime, the Chargers have been held to only 1 first down, 35 yards, and that's all. And the Broncos winning with Bubby here today, Brent.
You know, Jim, I think the most amazing thing is you look at the Denver Broncos offensive machine. It doesn't miss a beat. Bubby Brister coming in there for John Elway, making big plays. I still say that Ed McCaffrey is the guy, the unsung hero that makes this offense go. He ought to be in the Pro Bowl this year.
What a season he's having. He will be there. I can guarantee you that. All right, let's show you what else is happening in the NFL today. Even our friends from Sony will tell you this game is the high definition of a thriller in the NFL. This game on HD TV to some parts of the country, and the Jets got it going here. Vinny Testaverde had a big first half. Hooks up here with Keyshawn Johnson for the touchdown.
Great play action, getting the safety out of the middle. Keyshawn Johnson to the post. You take that every time.
And they had 2 John Hall field goals in the last 27 seconds of the first half, wedged around a Flutie interception. Seattle taking advantage of the Chiefs' problems on the road. Gerbach picked off twice, has now been replaced by Rich Gannon, and one of his picks run back by Darren Smith for a touchdown.
Darren Smith eyeballing the quarterback all the way, runs it in, bad pass by Upper Scoreback.
Can you believe they run back 5 interceptions for touchdowns this year? And by the way, the Chiefs penalized 11 times in that first half. What a disaster. Carolina winning over the 49ers. Steve Young not playing today, out with a stomach muscle strain. Detmer starts instead, and he's been picked off 3 times. Not doing what Bubby is doing for the Broncos today. All right, the Redskins, fresh off their first win, winning at Arizona, and Skip Hicks, the rookie from UCLA, stepping in for the injured Terry Allen for the second straight week in a big fashion. Look at his numbers, 100-yard pace. Dolphins won earlier today at home, 5-0 at home on the season, and in the first half, Marino twice hooked up with O.J. McDuffie. Hey, folks, it had been 21 games since McDuffie had caught a touchdown, and he scores twice on Marino passes in the first half today. Then, well, New England, one of the co-leaders coming into today, just trampled at home by the Atlanta Falcons.
6 drops by those New England receivers today, Jim. A couple fumbles by Drew Bledsoe, an interception. They couldn't do anything right. Marcus and I, a little injured, jumping off the New England Patriots bandwagon, but we got off in time.
Pats held to 18 yards rushing. Hey, Mike McCreary of the Ravens, 4 sacks, and their defense scored their only touchdown in their win.
You never know to throw right and roll left and throw back in the triple coverage. Rod Wilson picks off for a 7th career touchdown return there.
That mistake by Hollis, who had to replace Jeff George. In Cincinnati, no match for Jacksonville.
No, Corey Dillon's carrying the ball in his wrong hands. He gets tackled, drops the ball. Aaron Beasley picks it up and goes 90 yards for a touchdown. They needed this as well as some of the other big plays that came up from the Jacksonville offense.
Jags are now 4-0 at home. The Cowboys sweep the season on the Giants, and their only touchdown came from Aikman in that 10-point win. The Saints and the Vikings in a shootout. Minnesota's Brad Johnson in for Cunningham today, who had an ankle sprain. Johnson's first action in 2 months, 316 yards passing. That one to Chris Carter, his 77th career touchdown, the all-time Viking touchdown maker as the Vikings improve to 8-1. Rams win for the first time inside of their own conference as they topple the Bears, and the Eagles hold on to beat the Lions. Both teams now walk away 2-7. Ugly. The Eagles win today. All right, the NASDAQ Amex halftime report will continue in just a moment. Thanks for watching the NFL on CBS.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Amex halftime report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets. CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Amex halftime report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets.
Even though John Elway is injured, the Broncos shutting out San Diego 20-0 will return to Mile High Stadium after this message. And a word from your local CBS station. The only unbeaten team in the NFL, the Denver Broncos, shutting out the San Diego Chargers 20-0 here at sold-out Mile High Stadium. Kevin Harlan, Sam White. Does San Diego have a chance in the second half?
Well, they don't have a chance if Ryan Lee plays the way he's playing now. He's missing wide-open receivers. He's not throwing the ball to the right guy. He's got a long way to go.
Well, the big news here in Denver, in fact, the state of Colorado this week, was the overwhelming vote for the stadium. 57% to 43%. They'll break ground next year. It'll be finished in the year 2001. They'll build it next to Mile High Stadium in the parking lot of McNichols Sports Arena. Owner Pat Bowen of the Broncos.
Ultimately, this is a great day for this franchise, for the Rocky Mountain region. And you have my promise that we will build the finest stadium on budget, on time, and open in 2001.
And the one thing about Bowen getting this vote and this approval is that had he not, he probably would have sold the team, and thus Mike Shanahan would have become a free agent coach as Kenny Bynum takes the opening kickoff, and flags are all over the field as Bynum works to the 20-yard line. There is a contract clause with Mike Shanahan that if Bowen was no longer the owner, that he could leave. And Bowen said that if he didn't get the new stadium, he would probably have to sell the team.
Yeah, he didn't say he would move the team, but he would have to sell the team, and that would have kicked in that clause for Mike Shanahan to go somewhere else.
Holding, 51. During the return, 10-yard penalty, first down.
And through the first two quarters, here are the numbers.
Well, there's the big one, of course, right there. They dominated. The defense has not been able to do it. 33 yards against 34. Denver, without their starting quarterback, has dominated this game.
Markham back outside the 10. It's 1st and 10 for Leaf, and the handoff goes to Natron Means. And then he was brought down by Trevor Price on a gain of 5. That might be the one thing that San Diego can do, is just power drive it with Means up the middle.
Kevin, I think that's what they have to do. Ryan Leaf is not playing very well. Now, he's had a string of tough days, going back to the Kansas City ball game where he was 1 for 15, and then 4 interceptions against the New York Giants. He hasn't played well, but this was a bye week the past week. They went back to the mini camp, back to the fundamentals, simplified everything, but it hasn't shown up on the field today.
Number 16, second down 5. Leaf looking for his second option. Push from the pocket, chased by Neil Smith, and throws high and wide of his intended receiver, Brian Still.
You know, as a former quarterback coach, this is the first impression I get of this Ryan Leaf. He's indecisive. When I played for Bill Walsh and coached with Bill Walsh, he used to use the word all the time. Be decisive in what you're going to do. Know your receiver when you've got him stepping in that throw, and be decisive in your throw. But he's hesitating. He's going to an alternate receiver, and when he does, that alternate receiver is late, or he's going late to it, so the alternate receiver's not there.
He's hit tight ends, he's hit running backs, but he is 0 of 9 throwing to wide receivers today. 3rd and 5. Here comes the blitz from Pedroia. Leaf was spun out of control and throws an incomplete pass. Glenn Cadrez, taking the place of the departed free agent Alan Aldridge, comes flying up the middle and gets it Leaf.
See Cadrez coming right straight up the middle. Maybe the best play of the day for Ryan Leaf. Now watch what happens right here. He's got no chance. But watch him get rid of the ball. Pure strength right here. He gets it far enough downfield in the direction of a receiver to save the sack.
That says it all, and that's his best play as a quarterback in this game.
Well, that's it. Incomplete pass is your best play? I guess so.
6 3-and-outs. For San Diego, this is their 7th punt of the afternoon in 7 possessions. Gordon lets it bounce in front. Another Denver bounce. I think every bounce has gone to the Broncos on the punts today, and Bennett continues with a horrible, horrible afternoon.
Well, I tell you, the reason is that Bennett, when he goes to, he's got a surgery on his left knee. The ball is not turning over. That's why it's bouncing backwards.
Back at Mile High Stadium in Denver, and the Broncos, Sam White with some excellent field position as they talk with young Trevor Price on the sideline. He's had another great game for the defense of the Broncos. 1st and 10 from the 49. Play action, here comes Seau, and Brister gets it away, and it's incomplete. And Brister started and has played the majority of the game because in pregame warm-ups, John Elway sprained a rib muscle. And he is now in street clothes and out for the day, and we don't know how long after today.
Well, you know, we talked to Mike Shanahan yesterday, and we talked about the halfway point, where he thought he was and so forth. He says, you know, it's not where you are at the halfway, it's how you finish. And finish is a key word in sports to me. It's how you finish a game, how you finish off a game plan, how you finish off a play. And they've got to finish this game, get out of this thing as healthy as they can, and get ready to see what the status of John Elway is going to be for the finishing of this season.
Davis running outside, flags were thrown, and Davis got a quick spurt and got inside the San Diego 45. Tackle made on the play by Greg Jackson, the safety. This is a flag against the Broncos.
This is what Mike Shanahan does not want Denver to start to get a little sloppy, start to get comfortable with the game too early. Finish the ball game.
Number 84, 10-yard penalty, second out.
Mike Shanahan, very demanding coach. He's got the guys out of pads now. This is the second half of the season. They don't put the pads on and hit. They practice at full game speed. I thought that was it struck me when he said it yesterday when we were talking to him. He says, I don't want the guys to go out there and hit each other as much, but I want them to practice at full game speed and know how fast the game is moving so they're ready on Sunday.
Worried about speed and explosion. Second down and 20 with the penalty, and Brister with the short drop, quick throw, tackled, and finally reeled in by wide receiver Rod Smith. He picks up 6. The interesting testament, I think, to what they do here in Denver, and in particular Shanahan. They've lost just one coach since he came here in January of 1995, and that guy went to the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, part of the reason is, number one, they've got a great situation here. He signs his position coaches to 3-year contracts, something that, boy, I wish I could have done when I was coaching every team around the league. Head coach would like to do that with his position coaches. It gives them security. Plus the fact that he says, look, if I've got a good coach, nobody's going to outbid us for that coach. We'll pay to keep the good coaches. One of them, Gary Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, who probably is calling some of these plays along the way. Now, Mike Shanahan calls them, but he doesn't mind handing it off to that guy right there, Gary Kubiak.
There's an injury timeout for the Chargers, Marco Coleman.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Mitsubishi, the all-new 1999 Galant, and by Pizza Hut, home of the stuffed crust pizza, the most fun you can have with a pizza.
What beautiful scenics from our aerial cameras here this afternoon. Marco Coleman is okay, walked off under his own power. Chris Mims takes his place at left defensive end. Denver facing 3rd and 14. They've got to get to the San Diego 39. Great time for Brister, who throws a pass incomplete, looking for the twirling Shannon Sharp. Brister was hit hard. Broncos can't convert, and they've got to punt the ball after scoring on their last 4 possessions.
I'm a little surprised they haven't started to feature Terrell Davis a little bit. He's on pace for that big year. This is the kind of a ball game when you've got control of it that you'd like to use up the clock and be pound away with that running game. But he's only got 15 rushes for 56 yards today. Unusual in these circumstances. But they got Bubby Brister. Maybe they feel like they got to get this guy ready for next week as well.
Low snap to Ruin, who gets it high, and Latario Rashaw will let it bounce into the end zone. San Diego will take over at their own 20. 53-yard punt by Ruin in this thin air of Denver, Colorado. It is chilly but pleasant, especially if you're a Bronco fan. Timeout. In Green Bay, they've got the Cheeseheads, in Kansas City, the Arrowheads, and here in Denver, the Horseheads. And they're having fun.
And when they get home, they're going to hear them on television.
That's right.
And you make fun of them, too, and I'm telling you.
You just don't want to wake up next to a Horsehead. First down and 10 for Leaf, and the handoff goes to Means, who got a great block from Jay Cox, the rookie, and he works his way for a fine gain of 8, tackled eventually by Bill Romanowski. Romanowski has probably been Denver's best defensive player of the season.
Ryan Leaf and Bubby Brister going at it today. Ryan Leaf only 4 for 14. Bubby Brister having a big day. Not a lot of numbers right there, 187 yards, but good percentage throwing, scrambling, making things happen when the protection breaks down. Solid performance by Brister.
And came in cold. Didn't know he was going to start until just seconds before the opening of the game. Second down along 2. And they give it to the tank Means, who's close to a first down beyond the 30. Let's go to New York, our CBS studios in Jim Nance.
All right, Kev, let's get you caught up now on the Jet story. It's Testaverde who's having a big day to Dedrick Ward for a touchdown early 3rd quarter, and the Jets are up 20-9. But the Bills are driving. Back to you.
Okay, Jim, you know, to me the difference in the Jets season was when they lost 30-10 in St. Louis, started Foley, brought back Testaverde, and they knew from that point on that Vinny was going to be their quarterback.
Well, it was the talk of the town, and it was a big decision for Bill Parcells, but he had to make a decision to stick with one guy, and it's paid off.
Last time the first down was acquired by the Chargers late in the first quarter. Here's a first down handoff. Means can't find anything going over the left side. It'll be second down and about 11.
And in this series, June Jones is elected to feed the ball to Means, take a little bit of the pressure off of Ryan Leaf, who really has had just an awful day today.
You know, Bonnie Bernstein talked in our pregame show with Leaf and talked about his problems off the field, which I know June Jones is very concerned about, as is everybody in this organization. They readily admit this kid is their future.
He's the future. He's a young guy. He makes mistakes off the field, judgment mistakes off the field, and frankly, he's making judgment mistakes on the field today.
Second down, 11. Time for Leaf. Flag is thrown. He throws an interception. Picked off by Darian Gordon. His second of the year as he dances inside the 15. He bulldozers inside the 10. He's down to the San Diego 7. A return at 36, but a flag is on the field.
Looked like holding against San Diego, which will be declined. That's what it was.
Leaf throws his 13th interception of the year.
Number 63.
And his first in 2.5 games.
Now Leaf set up looking to his right. Came back at the last minute. You can see nothing on the ball. The ball was not a tight spiral at all. Thrown to the outside. Slaughter was just on a pivot looking for the ball to be thrown on the inside. Now we don't have privy to who was right or wrong right there, but the ball clearly thrown away from where the receiver was wanting it.
Leaf's first interception in 85 passes. He had gone over 2 games without throwing a pick, but the pressure was all over him that time, and he throws it into the arms of Darian Gordon, a former Charger, who you know is enjoying sweet revenge now.
He only took 5 steps. It was a deep enough pattern. He should have taken a 7-step drop that time.
On the 7, first and goal, fake pitch. Here comes Brister, looking in the end zone, hit by Coleman, throws, it's caught, and he is in for the touchdown, McCaffrey.
I'll tell you, McCaffrey's having a big year, but it looks to me as McCaffrey breaks back to the inside. Now he's wide open, nobody around him. Gemry is there just looking as if he thinks he's got help inside. It's not there.
Great job of McCaffrey staying in as Elam tacks on another point. McCaffrey, with the 7-yard touchdown reception there, has his 7th of the season. He caught one last week against Cincinnati. 7 is a career high. It's all Denver.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Volvo. Volvo reminds you to drive safely. And by 10-10-2-20.
All Broncos. Brister throwing yet another touchdown pass with the injured Elway in the locker room. 27-0, the world champions. Kickoff by Elam. We expect to see a quarterback change with San Diego. He tries it deep. Reserve running back Kenny Bynum brings it out of the end zone. He's up to the 16-yard line and tackled on the play by Detron Smith and Keith Burns. We're going to see Craig Wheelahan come in. He's played 2 games already this year. Timeout, San Diego. New quarterback, Craig Wheelahan.
Moments ago, though, it was Ryan Leaf that thought he was going in the ball game. Wheelahan, though, going in. It's enough. June Jones had seen it up, and it's time to look at somebody else.
Wheelahan has played in 2 games this year. He's 9 of 21 throwing for the Chargers this season. On 1st and 10, he hands off to Means. He has no place to go. They have really shut down Means this afternoon. Mike Lodish makes the tackle.
Look what happened just a moment ago. Ball turned over. San Diego has the ball. Ryan Leaf was sitting on the bench with his hat on, basically not paying attention. Notice where it was. Starts over to the coach. June Jones is talking to Craig Wheelahan. That's when he finds out for the first time. Now you'll see that Coach Jones is now talking to Leaf, telling him you're not in and the reason why. I feel for June Jones right here. This is a situation that he has not brought on himself. He's just trying to handle it.
Second down, 12, near the 15. Again, Price up the middle. He dumps it out from the front. Wheelahan hits Means. He tries to cut across the grain and loses about 2 yards on the play. John Mobley was there.
Now, this is a totally different situation than when Denver lost John Elway in the pre-game warm-up and put Brister in there. Wheelahan is a young quarterback. He's got some experience, 4 years in the league, and he has started in this league. Big guy, 6'5". But he, I'll guarantee you, did not have any idea that he'd be playing today because Ryan Leaf is the declared future of this team.
And he just burns the first of 3 second-half San Diego timeouts. Wheelahan started the final 7 games of last year when both Stan Humphries and Jim Everett went down with injuries. 2 quarterbacks that are no longer with the Chargers. And in fact, both out of football.
What makes it tough, though, for Wheelahan is they have simplified the offense. They've changed a few things. He hasn't got very many reps. It's not like going all the way back to minicamp.
Autry Denson and Jarius Jackson ignite the Notre Dame Fighting Irish against Brian Broadwater in the Middies of Navy. That's next week, or it's a showdown of SEC powers. And the Arkansas Razorbacks tangle with T. Martin and the Tennessee Vols all next Saturday on NASDAQ Amex College Football. 3rd and 16, and the Chargers are 0 of 7 on 3rd down conversions today. A tough spot for interim coach June Jones.
They're backed up now, but they have not crossed the midfield stripe all day long offensively.
Shotgun snap important. Great time for Wheelahan, who winds up. He's got a receiver. And it was picked off but out of bounds by Tyrone Braxton on a pass intended for Webster Slaughter. Braxton literally flew out of no place and made the pick, but didn't keep his feet in bounds.
Braxton, just like Steve Atwater, big guy, but can cover a lot of ground in the center field. Look at him coming from over here. Now, he's coming from inside. He's going to steal it, but he's got to get 2 feet down in bounds, just like a wide receiver does. Doesn't get either foot down in bounds. It still leaves San Diego backed up at punting, and they haven't been doing a good job of punting today.
We're talking about Darren Bennett, who does get this one off high and hanging. And with the catch at the 43-yard line, Darian Gordon is finally whipped around and taken down by Michael Hamilton, a reserve linebacker.
I don't know what Darian Gordon was doing on that one. He looked like he wanted to wait for some blocking to develop, but you can't stand back there as the returner. You got to be moving somewhere.
47-yard yardage, 47-yard punt. And Gordon, who is as good as he's ever been returning punts in the NFL, loses 9 on that one.
He's upset with himself about it, too.
Well, tomorrow on CBS, it's Outtake Monday. Catch all new episodes of your favorite Monday comedies. Crosby, King of Queens. Everybody Loves Raymond and Becker, starring Ted Danson. Plus, all night long, see the stars rub up in their most hilarious outtakes ever. It's all followed by an all-new LA Doctors. That's tomorrow night, right here on CBS. Stars with King of Queens, Kevin James, yes. Going by, and flag is thrown as Terrell Davis takes it with about 3 Chargers on his back up to the 37. Norman Hand was the guy that brought him down. And Kevin James and Leah Remini were up here.
Very nice people. Do a great job with that show. Now, right here is the time that if you're the coach, Mike Shanahan, on the winning team, you've got to really bear down on the guys on the field because they can lose their attention, their concentration. You put the pressure on them just like they were in a tight ball game.
Holding, number 77, 10 yards, first down.
Tony Jones.
See right there at the end, referee White looked down at his hand. He has a little rubber band he puts around one finger for first down, 2, 3, so forth, just to remind himself because out there got a lot of things to think about. Just a little trick that they have, and all the officials out there will do that so that everyone kind of checks each other.
They could have used that at Columbia, Missouri a couple years ago, and the Colorado Buffaloes got another down and beat the Missouri Tigers.
Like a steel trap. You don't forget anything. How many years of West College? You had the office pool on that one.
First and 20. Brewster sets up, hits McCaffrey. He's shoved out of bounds by Jimmy Spencer. McCaffrey with yet another catch. Ex-Giant, ex-49er, Eddie McCaffrey.
And the ex-Bengal, Spencer covering the outside. Just a quick move to the outside. That's what's called a speed move. You're not trying to trick the guy. You're not trying to freeze him. You just go out, plant your feet, move quickly, ball's thrown on time to the outside. We used to tell the quarterbacks to throw 7 yards to the outside of the receiver making a speed move like that. By the time the ball travels in the air about 20, 22 yards, right on stride, that's what happened.
Good day for McCaffrey. Second down. And the handoff to Davis. Not a lot up the middle that time. Lee Johnson was there. And at the bottom of the pile, you see 54, Kurt Gavea. He really has been about as responsible as any Charger for their fine defensive effort so far through the first half of the season.
Well, he's the guy that gets them all in place. When he was injured, had the neck injury, and was out, they had to move everybody around. Lou Bush moved around. Dixon came in. Burgess ended up having to play. Junior Sale was out of position. When he came back in, everything solidified again. But Kurt Gavea is one of those ball players, old school ball players, plays hurt as long as he can.
3rd and 11. Brister in for the injured Elway, who did not start. Brister did, and here's his pass, and it's sending back at the receiver, rookie Marcus Nash. A flag was thrown on the route, and with the body language of Terrence Shaw looks to be on the San Diego Chargers.
And Terrence Shaw has already been fined $10,000 for getting in the face of an official a few weeks ago.
Last game against Seattle.
Yep, he done one, and his teammates are pulling him away.
Number 29, 5-yard penalty. First down.
He probably is their best cover corner.
He is their best cover corner. When they had Harper on the other side, Dwayne Harper, they really were covered. Charles Demery has done a good job this year on the opposite side of Terrence Shaw, but today I think Charles Demery's had an off day. He just hasn't looked back for the ball. They've thrown it, good coverage, but the receivers found the ball before Demery did. Shaw, that time, upset because he's just playing tough physical football, got called for it.
So it's 1st and 10 with the penalty, and Brister outside. McCaffrey with his 8th reception of the afternoon and close to a first down, knocked out at about the 46. Tackled by Spencer again.
What Denver is doing is they're sending McCaffrey in motion. When he comes in motion, the cover guys following him. Now watch what happens when he comes in motion. As the coverage starts, watch him soften. He'll actually lose ground. You see him lose away from the 40-yard line. It opens up the quick out. It's just a method of getting your receivers open.
And I would assume if you're a quarterback reading, it tips you off whether they're going to play man-to-man or zone.
Well, it does. More times than not, it tips you off if a back goes in motion. But sometimes, at least half the time, if a receiver goes in motion and the cover corner runs all the way, it's man-to-man.
So it's just not window dressing. Second down, a long one. Davis tries to skip by Harrison and does. But picks up nothing and still is a yard and a half shy of a first down.
Well, the one thing San Diego's done, their run defense has not slowed down the pace that they set coming in here. Darrell Davis now 56 yards on 12 carries.
And his string of 100-yard games, 7 and counting, coming into today in danger.
Yep. And the pace that he was setting, he was on pace to gain over 2,300 yards this year. We're able to keep it up. Came into this game with 1,150 yards rushing the ball.
Last guy to get that many yards, or close to it, 21:05. 14 years ago, Eric Dickerson.
O.J. Simpson before him, Dickerson.
Timeout taken by Brister with a 3rd and 1. Sam White, you have been on many committees as a head coach in the NFL and always interjecting what you think the league should do. And here are some things that you would do if you were king for a day in the NFL.
I got to be king for a day. I would put the instant replay back in just in the 4th quarter so that if a mistake's made and you don't have time to recover, you can do it. The rest of the game, let the human element do it. I'd put the umpire behind the offensive side of the ball. How many times do you see that umpire just get killed as the ball carrier runs up that way? First and second half division winners. You know, at the end of 8 games, give everybody a fresh start, and there'd be a second half 8-game season, and the 2 winners of each division go to the playoffs, and then activate all 53 players. You know, right now, there are 53 players that are paid full salary, and then only 46 are active for each ball game. I think let them all get dressed up. You'd have a chance maybe to help the special teams. That's if I were king. So far, the voting is not real good in my favor.
But good ideas nonetheless, especially that fourth quarter instant replay.
Well, I think that if you had an appeal system in the fourth quarter, when you don't have much time to recover from an honest mistake, the officials do a terrific job, but mistakes do happen.
Third down, long one. Brisker throws, and a diving reception is made by Rod Smith. Picks up 3 and a first down for the Broncos.
I hate to hammer this too much, but I think two things are happening here. San Diego's run defense is doing such a good job against Terrell Davis that they are, they're worried about it a little bit here. Denver is. And number two, they're trying to get Bubby Brister ready for next week because they probably know more than we do. They definitely know more than we do about how severe that injury to John Elway is.
And they play next week Monday night in Kansas City.
Big ball game. Kansas City, of course, right now on the skids. Losing again today.
Up in Seattle. First and 10. Terrell Davis. Flag is thrown. He was upended head over heels by Rodney Harrison. As they take a look at the flag, and it appears to be against Denver, and it is. Holding.
Davis finally gets a nice run, and it's going to be called back.
Holding. Number 66, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
4 penalties on the Broncos, all on the offense today.
Tom Nail in the center. He's the guy that directs all the traffic, makes all the calls in the line, make sure everybody up and down knows the blocking schemes. Once the play is called, the offensive linemen have their own little game going after that. They've got to change the blocking scheme depending on what the defensive front shows them. Nalen does a good job of making those calls.
He does. Very good line. Schlereth at the right guard. Neal, basically as a rookie, although he was inactive most of last season, his rookie season.
Unusual line, though. Not one 300-pounder on the offensive line. Most teams now have those big linemen. Denver goes the other way with 50.
First and 20. He's right on the money with a pass caught by Ed McCaffrey. He picks up 13 on first and 20. Tackle made by Spencer. Let's go to CBS in New York with Jim Nance.
Well, Kevin and Sam, the Heisman quarterback battle is being won today by Vinny Testaverde, spreading the wealth around. He's hit all 3 of his receivers now for touchdowns. Wayne Corbett nabs this one, and the Jets are up big. Fourth quarter, back to you in Denver.
New England lost. If the Jets win beating Buffalo, the Jets tied with Miami, who beat the Colts. There'll be a 2-way tie for first place in the East.
All right, say that real quick one more time. It looks like Miami and the New York Jets on top.
They're killing our people on today. Second down, 7. Davis got a block from Nalen. Has a first down run as he takes the tackle on the way. And Terrence Shaw is left in his wake. Gain of 11. Another first down for Denver.
Davis is so strong. Uses that stiff arm on this one right here. And he's trying to come up inside, but it's not there. Now when he bounces outside, watch him just push away would-be tacklers right here. Stiff arms, throws the feet, and then is able to turn up the field. Once you get running hard sideways like that, it's hard to change direction. And this field has not been real good in terms of traction today.
How about the Jets, though? They've been hot. After losing by 20 in St. Louis, they went up to New England, beat the Patriots in New England, beating the Bills today.
But that hot streak started when they settled on Testaverde.
They beat Kansas City last week. As Davis, with a lot of 2 tight ends now, not picking up anything. John Perella was there with the tackle. Well, tonight on CBS, if you're a smoker and your sex life isn't all it could be or should be, tonight 60 Minutes is one broadcast you can't afford to miss.
Quit looking at me. I don't smoke.
Then it's Touched by an Angel, followed by the CBS special miniseries, Mama Flores Family. Cicely Tyson stars an Alex Haley story that picks up where Roots left off. All tonight on America's Address, CBS. Rodney Harrison has probably a cramp, I would assume.
That's what it looks like when you take that foot and you kind of bend it back. You're just stretching the muscles there, the calf muscles. Even on a cool day, you can lose fluids out here and get cramps.
So the Jets leading Buffalo. That is a fourth quarter score. Seattle all over Kansas City. Gerbach again struggling, just 2 Kansas City field goals. San Francisco trailed at halftime, but they've come back, now leading Carolina 22-16. Arizona was down 17-7. They lead 23-17. Cardinals could go to 5-4. Jacksonville over Cincinnati. Bengals next week in Minnesota. That'll be a great game at the Dome in Minneapolis.
Bengals can come up and just find a way to play the top teams. They played these Denver Broncos down to the wire last week. Catch them in Minnesota. Catch Minnesota next week up there on the road. Ought to be a good one.
Miami won, so right now they are alone in first place. If the Jets win, it'll be a two-way tie for first. Patriots lost to Atlanta. Somewhat surprisingly up in Foxborough. And the Bills losing to the Jets.
Bobby Bristol's going to have to hurry it up to get this one off.
Ninth play of the drive. It's second down and 9. And there go the flags.
That's what happened. The clock was ticking down, and everybody panicked.
Ball start, number 42, prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty, second down.
And that's another story. Griffith went out with a bad ankle, and Detron Smith has played most of the game at fullback.
Well, this game started out. First, John Elway goes out during the warm-ups. Surprisingly, nobody said anything. Suddenly, Bubby Brister's in. During the course of the game, Shannon Sharp was injured momentarily. McCaffrey, Howard Griffith, who has not returned. Detron Smith taking his place.
So second down and 14 from 42. Blocked by Davis, buys time for Brister, going deep, knocked away wonderfully at the end by Jimmy Spencer. Stride for stride with 6'5" Ed McCaffrey. Well, division races are heating up and shaping up next Sunday with the NFL on CBS. Full slate of regional games: Cincinnati, Minnesota, Miami, Carolina. Then in the late window, Seattle, Oakland, and Baltimore going to San Diego. Pre-game coverage begins with Jim Nance, George Seifert, Bonnie Bernstein, Brent Jones, and Marcus Allen on the NFL Today. All next week on CBS.
I give up trying to figure out who's going to win Sunday to Sunday. You can't go by records anymore. One thing is a credit to the coaching staff. They're keeping their teams ready to play, even if they are trailing in the polls.
Third and 14, it's a pass blocked by Davis. He wouldn't have had a first down anyway at the 39. And to get inside the 28. So the Broncos have got a punt.
Charles Dimry in on that one. And Dimry has been replaced by Jimmy Spencer. I think that June Jones had probably seen Charles Dimry get beat enough today, but that was a nickel situation. They needed the extra backs in there, right in the right spot at the right time.
Bruin will punt once again, his second punt in 3 Denver possessions. And the second of the day. This one lands at the 5 and is downed by the Broncos' Tito Paul, 35-yard punt. Bruin does a great job right there. Well, we talked about changes on the field. There are changes on the sideline as well this year.
Well, when I was coaching, you used to have to deal with this all the time. Those wires, and that was mine. This is actual footage of my wires.
You look a lot like Dennis Green then, because I just saw Dennis Green.
Okay, I didn't get away with it. Nowadays, though, if you'll notice, there are no wires. Now, this wire right here is just feeding down to an antenna, or to a little antenna, I guess it is, a little wire that is a wireless connection now upstairs to the coaches, so they can talk, and you can see that these coaches can move back and forth without that trailer trying to keep the wires straight.
Greg Wheelahan in for the ineffective Leaf. Handoff goes to Means, tackled by Romanowski. Cleaning up the numbers on Leaf today with no gain by Means. Leaf finishes 4 of 15 for 26 yards, 1 interception. I got to tell you, he looks like he's going backwards, as opposed to a guy like Peyton Manning, who I think shows a little bit of more progress week in and week out as he goes through the season.
Well, in talking to him last night, you know, both of us kind of came away with the same impression that we didn't see a lot of progress from earlier in the year when we talked to him. But the game still, he hasn't grown up in this ballgame like he's going to have to. On the other hand, Manning has.
Second down 10 for Wheelahan. This time, downfield, wide open as receiver Ricks, but it hit him on a bounce, incomplete. Too low, incomplete pass, and Ricks was wide open.
Well, that time Wheelahan was looking downfield, didn't see anybody. Starts to step to his right to throw into the flat, and then he spots Michael Ricks at 6'5", pretty hard to miss him, wide open. Part of the reason he was so wide open is that the defense saw the stride into the throw into the flat.
You know, finishing up on Leaf, it seems to me when they spend all that money on all these free agents, it had to occur to somebody that a veteran veteran backup for a kid who lacks some maturity like Leaf, needs that guidance. He needs someone. We talked about it in the first half. But of all the players you need someone to bring this kid along who's playing the same position, goes to the same meetings, is going to the same things.
Well, it's different than having a coach that's working with you. Because when practice is over, then you go with that veteran guy and you watch what he does, throwing the extra balls, getting there early for extra film study and all that goes with it. He needs a veteran with him.
Well, Tuesday on CBS, the Marines are accused of killing their own. Now, Lieutenant Commander Harmon Rabb must find out if it's fact or reporters' wild sketchings and he's out of control. An all-new Jag with dogs fighting Tuesday on CBS.
The action movie of the night. Being a pilot, I like to see all those jets flying by. Big down.
Third down and 10. From the gun, Wheelahan. Pass comes on, the pass is away, and it is caught for a first down by Charlie Jones, a gain of 12 on 3rd and 10.
What San Diego's done now, they go to the shotgun with the extra receivers. They push Denver into a nickel or dime defense, and Denver is playing a zone. You see the receivers, look right here, to watch him just kind of settle in. Everybody's playing an area, and there's the throwing lane down the field. Braxton's going to come over and tag him down.
That is the first third down conversion for the Chargers all afternoon.
All the receivers out to the line, out of the backfield.
Number 21, 1st and 10 for Wheelahan. Setting up, a flag is thrown, and the pass is caught again by Jones. He is to the 27-yard line, but the flag thrown back at the 16.
As the wave starts here at Mile High Stadium.
They're trying to stay warm. It's against the Chargers.
Illegal formation. Number 65 is lined up on the end of the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, first down.
John Jackson.
You can see Craig Wheelahan pressing here. The last 2 or 3 throws have been nose down, below the belt, hard throws, and he's overstriding. He's trying to get so much into the ball that he's taking such a long stride. The ball is taking a nose down flight. Not very easy to catch.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score. Broncos 27, San Diego nothing. We'll return to Mile High Stadium after this message and a word from your local CBS station. Denver looking for their 10th consecutive regular season win going back to last year. 1st and 15 for San Diego. We begin the fourth quarter. Means trying to get in some breathing space for the offense. Stiff arms his way to about the 20-yard line, picking up 4 yards.
San Diego now has decided they're going to put in the extra wide receivers. They're going to push Denver into a pass defense mode. Extra defensive backs take the linebacker out. Hopefully getting more and more zone, which makes it a little bit easier for Craig Wheelahan. You see June Jones right there. He looks down at that sheet. That's the sideline sheet. It's got all the plays on it. But that list has been really restricted when Wheelahan went in the ballgame because he hasn't had a lot of practice.
2nd down 11. Wheelahan again with pretty good time. Quick catches made by Brian Still. Gain of 10. Close to a first down.
Now, Brian Still and Michael Ricks, 2 solid wide receivers. Still's been the guy that's been catching most of them. Came into this game with 33 receptions. He's just going to go to the outside pivot, and the ball should be thrown to the outside shoulders. Brian Still has to make the extra special catch on that one. That ball was just thrown a little too far outside.
That's his first catch of the day.
If you can keep those balls low in the body, a guy like Brian Still will make a long run for you after the catch. And that's part of the problem. When you're a little bit out of sync like that, you don't get those extra yards because the ball's just not right in the top quarter.
Timeout again. And Means throws his helmet in disgust, which you can't do on the field. That should be a penalty. You take your helmet off on the field, whether in celebration or in anxiety, and it's a penalty flag. Things are falling apart for the Chargers. Timeout.
Look at Wheelahan's eyes right here. He sees there's not much time now. Look right here. Natron Means has a fit because they have to call timeout.
3rd and 1. And it's Wheelahan taking it himself, and a flag is down at the 33.
Denver lines up all sides in that short yardage situation. It'll be a first down.
Outside, number 39, defense, the 5-yard penalty. That's a first down.
That's a cornerback, Ray Crockett.
Yeah, but let me tell you what was happening back there with Natron Means. There's a competitive guy, and he's listening to things. He can probably hear a little bit of what's going on from the headset to the quarterback. Maybe the plays aren't getting in. Maybe June Jones is trying to explain a little too much. Who knows what's going on, but he is frustrated because teams at this stage of the season should be ready to play better than San Diego looks today.
1st and 10 from the 35. Wheelahan rifles a pass for a first down. It's caught by Skill. Winding through traffic. It's a downfield block from his tight end, Freddie Jones. And it's a gain of 22 yards on the play. And a first down for the Chargers to New York in Jim Nantz.
All right, Kevin, the Jets took a John Hall field goal off the board, accepted the penalty, and then ran in with Curtis Martin for a touchdown, and they're now starting to pour it on the Bills with only 6:38 remaining. Back to you.
All right, Jim, thank you. It is a first down for San Diego, the longest play of the day for the Chargers, their deepest penetration to the 38 of Denver. Wheelahan in for the ineffective leap. Great blocking on the side for Ronnie McKenzie, and a pass caught by Means takes him down to the 31. Marvin Washington with the tackle for Denver.
You'll notice Natron Means is right back in the ballgame. He wasn't quitting on his football team a minute ago. That was frustration, anger, and it was the competitiveness coming out, and he was showing up on the field because he had to call the timeout. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not blaming June Jones for this. He's taken over an almost impossible situation. Their offense is trying to break in a young quarterback who is not making the progress he should, in part because he probably is not getting all the attention that he needs to get it. When the guy goes home and, as he told us last night, kind of watches TV while he studies his playbook, that's not how you get ready to play football.
2nd down and 3. Mammoth hole for a great run of 15 yards by Natron Means. Now they're picking up some steam, and they're all the way to the 16-yard line. Gain of 15 by Means. Log on to NFL.com as this week's Players Spotlight features Steeler quarterback Cordell Stewart. And a profile NFL alum Jim Marshall. All on NFL.com. Some life from the San Diego offense.
They're finally moving past the 50-yard line and actually looking good doing it.
Inside the 17, 1st and 10. Draw play handoff. And not much there. As Bynum tries to work his way back to the line of scrimmage, no gain on the play. It'll be 2nd down.
Take that play away, and San Diego seems to have found a little bit of an answer here. That's spreading out the Denver defense with extra wide receivers, shotgun formation part of the time. And you see right there, that's June Jones. He's talking to the quarterback. He's not talking to the coaches upstairs. And that headset, as soon as he mashes a button on his hip right there, transfers over to the quarterback, and he can talk to him all the way up until 15 seconds before the snap.
2nd down, long 10. 10th play of the San Diego drive. At the Denver 17. Wheelahan. He's being chased by Price and throws it incomplete, aiming on the side for H-back John Burke. It'll be 3rd and long.
Well, the offensive line is still blocking for him. Certainly gave him plenty of time. Nobody was getting open. Good coverage down the field by Denver on that one. Wheelahan actually had good movement in the pocket to give himself a chance to go to an alternate receiver. This is really an opportunity for him to impress the coaches right now and get back into a little bit of a competitive situation with Ryan Leaf and let Leaf maybe have a little bit of the pressure taken off because right now it's just not coming through.
Wheelahan is 5 of 8 throwing, 3rd and long. Blitz is on by Williams, and a pass down the middle is caught at the 6 by Slaughter. Wonderful beautiful shoot-top reception by Slaughter. It's a gain of 11, only his 7th reception of the season. It's first and goal, San Diego.
12 years in the league, Webster Slaughter. Now watch Wheelahan. He's looking to the left all the way. Slaughter's coming from this side right here. Ball comes down low. Ball is caught. He's free to get up. Right now he's tagged. He's down. Now the confrontation a little bit taking place with Ray Crockett. Ray Crockett actually put his finger right up there in the face mask. Officials let it go.
First down and goal from the 6. Drive began at the Charger 8. And it's a pass in the end zone and caught. A flag is down and incomplete because they've blown it dead before the play had a chance to get going. Back that away, and that's called on San Diego and Riley McKenzie, the right tackle.
And that's the way it goes when things start working against you like that. Now June Jones is looking at a sheet. Now he's not just pulling from what would normally be the red zone or the inside the 20 play selection. He's got to pull from that selection and then pull from that the play that he thinks Craig Wheelahan is ready to play. Ready to execute. See all the conversation in the huddle? He's telling everybody. Now he's trying to basically reaffirm to himself that this is what they're going to do.
First and goal from the 10. They hand off the Means. He gives him a great block, and another whistle is blown, and a timeout taken by Denver.
Timeout. Denver.
A late timeout. This shutout means a lot to this defense. Thus, they're trying to make sure they're ready. Timeout taken.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the all-new Honda Odyssey. It's one big happy minivan. Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And by Nike.
It'd be easy to get a cord of wood up there in the mountains. 27-0. Denver with a shutout over San Diego, and they'd like to protect that shutout.
Yes, they would. They're 50% down here defensively. They've had opponents in their red zone 24 times, giving up 12 TDs. This is the time, though, more than that. They're not worried about the percentage in the red zone. It's that shutout. Defenses pride themselves on not letting the other team have any points at all.
Especially when you're the defending world champions. First and goal from the 10. Flag is thrown. I think McKenzie may have jumped. But was he induced? We'll have to see.
No, they're calling that one against the offense. And that whistle has to blow loud with this crowd. Stop the play.
It's 2 on McKenzie.
Ball starts for 88 White. 5-yard penalty. San Diego.
I think he meant McKenzie.
Well, I tell you, they had movement in there. It looked like McKenzie to me as well. The tackles, of course, are the farthest from the quarterback, from the cadence. And they're looking outside because of the wide rush by the defensive ends. They're the ones that usually move.
A couple great games in the NFC. Carolina's up on San Francisco. First and goal from the 15. Means trying to find some daylight inside the 15-yard line to the 14. Picks up 1.
Good defense. Good swarming kind of a defense by Denver. Means had a chance there to get free, and as soon as he got free from the first guy, there was somebody else in pursuit. Speed, quickness, explosion in practice. Drill yourself. Mike Shanahan went over it with us last night. We drill at game speed in practice, even without pads. I don't want anybody slowing down. I want to see 11 guys around the ball. And this is when, in this part of the ball game, this is when it shows up. Because it's a habit. It's not something they have to think about.
And another timeout. This by Denver. And both teams now are out of second-half timeouts with 9:02 to play.
You know, June Jones he pointed out to us last night, I just wanted these guys to have fun. I wanted to relax a little bit, just try to get better each week. And he kept using the word fun. Well, there's no fun in getting your tail whipped, especially when you don't look good in the effort. And right now you kind of see it in June's face. It's hard for him to have fun, even though that's what he's trying to preach to these guys. And you generally do play better when you're loose.
We seemed loose last night when we talked to him.
Really look ready to play. You know, you can kind of get a measure of a team. Although I will tell you this, I think both of us walked away thinking that maybe Ryan Lee hadn't made the progress that he's going to have to make to be the leader of this team in the future. And he's going to get the opportunity. It's not gone away just because he's been benched today. He's going to be back in that lineup. But June Jones has a tough road now trying to bring him on.
Lead 4 of 15, finishing today for 26 yards, 1 interception. Jim Jones was not sure that he wanted this job when he got it. He knew Gilbride pretty well, and Gilbride brought him on staff.
Well, actually, I think they talked to Bobby Beathard, talked to several of the coaches on the staff. June really wasn't sure, but then after thinking about it, talking with his wife, who's ill back in Atlanta, they decided, yeah, this is something they want to do, but he's not going to wear himself out. He just told us last night, I'm going to enjoy this, I'm going to give it my best shot, and we're going to get this team ready to play. He's capable of doing it. This is the head coach in the National Football League we're looking at. I'll tell you, a lot of respect from a lot of people around the league when he stood up to Jeff George back in Atlanta.
Well, for those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS and the game between the San Diego Chargers and the Denver Broncos. Denver leading now 27-0. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except in the West Coast and the Mountain Time Zone. Second down goal from the 14th. Wheeling to the end zone and high and incomplete, looking for Charlie Jones. He threw into a thicket in Denver's secondary open.
Well, there really wasn't much else happening. He had 3 receivers down the field, 2 in the corners and 1 down the middle. And the rest of the guys were picking up blitzes because Denver was coming with everybody. You see, everyone is locked in there picking up. The ball is thrown. It's got to be thrown high. You definitely don't want that ball thrown low where people between you and the receiver and the quarterback can come underneath. You want him to be able to jump for that kind of a pass in the end zone.
This Charger drive has lasted almost 8 minutes. 14th play coming up. 3rd and goal from the 14. Hits his on, screen pass, caught by Teddy Jones. Wide open he is, and touchdown.
Good call.
Shutout is gone.
Well, Denver kept coming, they kept coming, and finally they got to the little screen pass, and everybody was out of position. Once they completed the pass, everybody that could make the tackle was behind it. Now watch, the offensive line right here going to set up, and at what, about a 3 count, they start to let everybody go. Here they come. Now the ball is thrown in behind the rush, and of course you see here, there is nobody left. It's a cakewalk. Quarterback has to sell it down the field, which he does. Eyes have to be down the field. The blocker has to be solid inside, making sure that everyone thinks he's not part of the receiving corps.
They're going to go for 2. Option play. Wheelahan is in for the 2 points. That's a nice looking play. Good blocking, too, from Aaron Taylor and John Jackson on the left side. The shutout is gone for the world champions. Yet still on top, 27-8. Denver 27-8 over San Diego. They kind of let the bear out of the cave there by letting them in the end zone, but it's still a pretty commanding Denver performance this afternoon.
Good drive, though. 7 minutes, 46 seconds, 92 yards on that drive. Something positive in this ball game that June Jones can take back to this team, get started. Although this is not over with, they were looking for the onside kick, and they kick it deep. And out of the end zone.
Hebron was deep back, and Denver will get it at the 28. Next week, the NFL on CBS, of course, begins with the NFL Today, followed by Cincinnati and Minnesota, Miami at Carolina, then Seattle against Oakland, Baltimore at San Diego in the late window. Check for the game and times in your area, all beginning with a 12 Eastern start of the NFL Today with Jim Nance and company.
You have to say, beside Denver, Minnesota is the top. They are the top 2 teams in the National Football League right now. Minnesota got beat by Tampa a week ago. But very strong football team. Going to be a good one, though. Cincinnati almost knocked off these Denver Broncos a week ago.
Bobby Brisker hands off to Terrell Davis, who's well under 100 yards on the day, picking up 4 right there. Steve Tovar makes the stop. And if Denver wins today, it'll be their 21st consecutive win at home. Winning by an average of about 19 points a game.
Well, they're averaging 34 points a game scoring offensively. They're building this new stadium. You know how many more seats they're going to have when they build this new stadium? 2.
Is that all?
2 more new seats. They're basically just going to build a much nicer stadium and a new one just adjoining this one, but really the seating capacity is going to be the same. Plus 2.
Second down and 6. Brister throws incomplete. May have been tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Not only do they win here, they have a lot of people looking when they do. New York Giants, with a bigger stadium, has a few more people that they can count on, but 74,325 average attendance here. They just sell this place out. People look forward to their Broncos playing at home.
Third down and 6 from the 24. Oh, the starter's still in. Brister in for the injured Elway. Throws high and over the head of Ed McCaffrey. Double teamed on the play was McCaffrey by Spencer and Harrison. Denver's got a punt again.
You know, there's still a lot of pride on the defensive side of the ball for San Diego, but it's a little bit of a question mark to me as to why they're throwing the ball so much with Bubby Brister, unless they are just doing it to get him the experience, to give him a few more snaps to throw the ball, because they are at least wondering if they're going to have to go with him for the next couple of weeks. With John Elway, for those that weren't here earlier, during warm-up, he strained a rib muscle and did not open the ball game. Just surprised everybody. Bubby Brister jogged out. Elway tried to come back in, but couldn't last.
Was Shaw to the 37. A 9-yard return, 48-yard punt by Tom Ruin. Timeout, 7:44, halfway through the fourth. 27-8, the Broncos.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by First Union, your guide to the financial world, and by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Pick Enterprise, we'll pick you up.
Here at Mile High, a Denver punt. San Diego takes over at the 37. As we begin to hit the aisles in the exit field of this 41-year-old stadium. Elon throws, and it's caught by tight end Freddie Jones, who picks up 2, up to the 39. The Jets, with the win today,
Still a tight race, though. This one's going to go on because these teams have to play each other. All of them have played. At this point, when you're that close, you're going to stay that close all the way to the end. It'll be the late December before we know that one.
Second down, 8. Wheelahan throws high, and that whistles out of the reach of Brian Still. It'll be another long way to go.
Here's the disappointing team here, Pittsburgh. 5-3. Jacksonville playing as strong as we thought they would. Cincinnati still having a struggle, but they are still playing hard. Got the tough one next week against Minnesota.
That should be a good game next year.
I would think so. I'll tell you, Bruce Conklin will not let that team give up. They're going to play everybody hard.
Wheelahan now 3rd and 8. Outside it goes. He's got blockers ahead. It's caught by Charles Jones, and he's got the first down to the Denver 48, gain of 13.
Denver Broncos, of course, winning here. They would go to 9-0 and a comfortable lead in the AFC West. Thought to be the strongest division in football going into this season, but Kansas City, Seattle, of course, San Diego struggling this year.
First and 10. Wheelahan throws, caught by Jones. Good block by Thornton. Lead block thrown. He's up to the 40-yard line, picking up 9. Darian Gordon makes the stop.
And speaking of the strongest division in football, we go to the other side of the coin.
The weakest.
The weakest. Dallas 6-3, leading that division. Although some of these teams, right, these, of course, Washington, Philadelphia just had one of those nightmare seasons when nothing's going right.
Second down, 1. Wheelahan, the quarterback keeper, should have a first down. I suppose he had to get inside the 39.
June Jones now going to, other than quarterback sneak for the first down, going to a lot of screen passes, inside screens, and then screens to the wide receivers where the offensive linemen pull like a sweep, but you're throwing the ball out there rather than running from the backfield. The NFC Central standings, Minnesota, we've been talking about, still only one defeat to the Buccaneers. Green Bay, as always, right there. The most disappointing team to me right there, Detroit. I can't figure them out. They've got so many things going for them. Bobby Ross, a top coach in the league, and they just aren't able to win.
That's how far they've got to go for a first down.
What June Jones has as a problem here is he tries to climb back into this ball game. Short yardage plays eat up a lot of time. Keep the clock running because he's generally on the ground. And there's a big pile up, so they can't get going again after the play.
Big down one. Ricks is on the move. And the handoff to Means. Handily gets the first down. Pulling his way down to the 25. Let's go to New York with an NFL update. Here's Jim Nance.
All right, Kevin. Arizona and Washington comes down to a last-second field goal. Nedney from 48 yards. He gets it, and Arizona is now 5-4. Only one game back of Dallas, and they'll host them next week. If they beat them, they would share the lead. Let's go back to you.
What a game.
Arizona, I thought early in the season was going to be better than their record even today, but they look like they're regrouping.
Wheelahan incomplete. Looking again for Charlie Jones, second down and 10.
Staying with the short passes, the controllable passes. Why test the guy down the field and maybe give the ball up on an interception? Just move the ball down. They had almost an 8-minute drive on the last possession. At least finish this ball game with something positive going. A lot of good things to remember as they get ready for next week. Still 5 minutes to go. A lot of time for June Jones to try to instill some things, discipline being the main one, and finish the game, just like Mike Shanahan has told us he tries to instill each week with his Denver Broncos.
Second and 10, Wheelahan fires a pass to the sideline, incomplete. Searching for Brian Still.
San Francisco leading as we speak right here. Atlanta 7-2. Dan Reeves doing a terrific job. One of the candidates for Coach of the Year. In my mind, along with Dennis Green and John Gruden in Oakland. Carolina still struggling, but playing hard. They've just been struck with so many injuries this year.
Third down and 10. Flag is thrown. They may have eaten up too much time on the clock. And
play a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Tonight on CBS, if you're a smoker and your sex life isn't all it could be or should be, tonight's 60 Minutes is one broadcast you can't afford to miss. Then Touched by an Angel, followed by the special CBS miniseries, Mama Flora's Family. Cicely Tyson stars an Alex Haley story that picks up where Roots left off. All tonight, all on CBS.
And you could see in that last play that everyone was confused. The clock was running down. They ended up costing themselves 5 yards.
And they had no timeouts. Third and 15, another flag. They blow this one dead.
This one is reaching a high or low. Sloppiness. Quick whistle now. You see the referee White quickly got that play underway, and it's a 25-second clock. San Diego's got to get out of that huddle. They don't have 40. They're already down to 10 seconds.
Third and 20, they've got to get down to the 16. It's a handoff, and Means gets the call. 7-yard gain.
Not a bad call, but they can't stop the clock unless, of course, John Mobley's injured, and that stops the clock for an injury timeout.
Looks like Seattle will go on to beat Kansas City. San Francisco did beat Carolina today. It's Carolina led at halftime. Redskins right there. Back in. Let's go to New York and an update here. Jim Nance in our CBS studios.
Well, here's how they did it. Carolina had a chance, but it was a chance from 58 yards. John Casey's kick. Right on, but short. And Ty Detmer leads San Francisco to victory. They were down 16-0 at one time. Niners and the Falcons share the lead at 7-2 NFC West. Back to you.
Falcons had a good win today.
I'll tell you what, I can't say enough. I can't be happier for Dan Reeves and the job he's done down there, slowly but surely putting them together right. But John Mobley is still down on the field, linebacker for Denver. They cannot afford to lose this guy. This is a speed wide linebacker, stays in the ball game in the passing downs. Veteran player now, 3 years. Little ginger though, and that's a knee or an ankle.
Tomorrow on CBS, it's Outtake Monday. Catch all the new episodes of your favorite Monday comedies. Cosby, King of Queens, Everybody Loves Raymond, and Becker. Plus, all night long, see the stars club up their most hilarious outtakes ever. It's all followed by an all-new LA Doctor. It's all tomorrow on CBS.
Good lineup. Like the Denver Broncos. Good lineup. John Mobley now, you got 4 minutes, 45 seconds left to go in the ball game. One of your starting linebackers is injured in a drive late in the game like this. It's just exactly what the coaches on both sides of the ball, but particularly for Denver, are hoping does not happen. Just get this ball game cleanly done now. Hard play it, and no more injuries. Rangers look like they're working on the left ankle of John Mobley from Kutztown State. What a great wide receiver team there. Correct.
4th and 13. Great time for Wheelahan to the end zone. Flag is thrown. Incomplete.
When a flag is thrown from that part of the field, it's usually past interference or holding, possibly. It's going to be holding defensively. That's an automatic first down. Ray Crockett doesn't feel like that he was holding anybody, just in good position to make the play.
Holding. Number 25, defense. That penalty is declined. Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Late hit. 93. 15-yard penalty. In this case, it'll be half the distance.
All right, let's see what happens right here now. Wheelahan set up out of the shotgun. Ball is delivered. You can't take 2 steps and still hit that quarterback. Even though that was not a vicious hit, 2 steps were taken. They're going to protect the quarterback. Even a fall like that. You never know when you're going to come down and hyperextended elbow or twist your, a wrist get bent back or something like that. They're really watching all year long. They've been doing it.
So 1st and 10. Another long drive put together here by San Diego. Hand off to Means. Breaks a tackle that router. Takes another tackle inside the 5 and pulling to the 1. Great run by Means. He picks up 11.
Well, I tell you what, you like to see it. Everyone likes to watch a competitor play, even under tough situations like that. Watch the moves he makes. He's making everybody miss. Good blocking, at least giving him a chance to get underway. And then at the end, just a little scoop, get up there around the 2-yard line. He's really helped this ball club.
He's better now than he was the first time he went with him.
I think he is.
Wheelahan, being chased, throws to Means, breaks a tackle, fumbles the ball. It's his at the 3. The Denver Broncos are done. Tanavasa.
It's a good call, but Denver was waiting on this call. They've been thrown too many screens, possibly. Wheelahan looks it away. Good job right there of executing the screen. Here's the ball, but look right behind Means. Everybody is around him. The ball stripped loose.
Romanowski.
Natron Means is not a fumbler. The ball just he got hit quick when he wasn't quite ready to put the ball away. And it resulted in the end of another good drive. That's 2 good drives, though, here in the 4th quarter by San Diego.
Something to build on.
Well, you've got to find something. You can't just walk along and throw your hands in the air. You got the rest of the season to play. You got to get the team ready to go, and this is what you do. You find something positive to start from there, and you you try to take some of the negatives and turn them around as well.
Vaughn Hebron is in, a former starter with the Eagles, picks up 2 on just his 7th carry of the season. So it looks like the run of 100-yard gains by Terrell Davis will come to an end today.
Denver at 8-0. Last time anyone was that good, defending their Super Bowl championship before San Francisco back in 1990. And of course the Bears in Super Bowl 20 in 1986.
San Diego's defense held Terrell Davis to a season-low 69 yards. Second down 8, Hebron outside. And Steve Tovar makes the stop.
What Denver wants to do right now is grind this thing out. They're going to have to make 2 first downs in order to finish the ball game with this possession. Nash doesn't have the ball game. I wanted to see more of him. You remember Mike Shanahan said last night they wanted to see more of their #1 draft pick in this past year's draft. Marcus Nash, wide receiver, 6'3", 195 pounds, out of Tennessee.
Third down 5 from the 8. Bad snap. Bristol gets it athletically. Deep into the ball in the end zone. Recovered by the Chargers. And it's a safety. Raymond Johnson jumped on the ball.
And he was able to gain possession before it went out of the end line. Had he gone out, it would have been back. It's going to be a safety. They got it right here. When this ball slips loose, it's over. Fighting for the ball, 2 points. I think he does have possession before he, maybe not, right on the line. Doesn't matter. It's going to be a 2-point possession. And something else we can talk about. The defense didn't let up, kept fighting, clawing, creating points on the defensive side of the ball. Anytime you get in that shotgun, you always run the risk. Remember, a shotgun starts with a pass from the center to the quarterback. It's only about a 7-yard throw. But the quarterback has to make a catch, get his eyes down the field. He takes his eyes off of it. If it's not dead on the strike pattern there, right in his body, he can lose it like that. Now, that's Gary Kubiak right here, the offensive coordinator for Denver. Mike Shanahan told us yesterday that if he knew Gary was going to be around for the next 10 years, he'd be calling the plays. It is a no-brainer. Earlier in the year, Gary against Seattle, Mike Shanahan was having a bad day calling plays, and he benched himself and gave the calling of the plays to Gary Kubiak, and he marched right down the field for a touchdown. He went over and said, "Hey, wait a second, that was just not that good." But at the end of the ball game, to the media, Mike Shanahan said, "Hey, I benched myself. I was having a bad day, just like players do, and I've got good enough people around that I can hand the ball off to them." I always call my coaches position coaches. I never call them assistant coaches. I felt like that was a subservient kind of a term. Position coaches are experts in their field. They're just as important as any other part of the game.
Here comes a punt from Tom Ruin after the safety by San Diego and fumble by Bristol. And they blow this football. We have had more flags and more whistles in this game.
Well, they blew it dead immediately.
Please reset. Game clock, 2 minutes, 23 seconds.
Wow.
Thank you.
They're going to play that over because the game clock wasn't correct. An official on the field keeps the official time. The game clock, of course, has to coincide with that. The field official's job to double check. Mike Shanahan wants to know why that wasn't done before they started to play. Got the lead that he has right now. You can have a little chuckle over it and go back to work with 2:23 left on the clock.
So, Ruin again.
Same rules as a kickoff, even though he punched the ball.
And Rashawn up to the 41. A return of 24 yards. Next Sunday on CBS, Bengals will take on the Vikings. Miami will play at Carolina, Seattle, Oakland, and Baltimore, San Diego. Check the game and time in your area.
You know what's happening here? Teams like Carolina, Baltimore, teams that, and even Cincinnati, teams that whose record probably indicates they're not going to the playoffs are still playing hard, still going after it, working hard during the week. Coaches are saying their players are still studying. It's a 16-round battle, as Mike Shanahan told us.
Wheelahan will throw, caught by Freddie Jones. He's got the first down to the Bronco 47. Darian Gordon makes the tackle. It's a pickup of 11.
That'll take us down to the 2-minute warning as Denver continues to put the ball in the air rather than just run the ball and kill the clock.
2-minute warning.
And with all the precincts reporting, we're projecting that Denver is the winner this afternoon. As you can see, there are only 2 precincts left. It's worth.
First down for San Diego. Freddie Jones got the pass just before the 2-minute warning. Wheelan in for the ineffective lead, throws it low and incomplete. Aiming for Charles Jones. Second down and 10.
And now, after we have declared Denver the winner, they're 9-0. Out in front, 3 ahead of Oakland.
Kansas City is losing 24-6. They've had a record 17 penalties called on the Chiefs today. So Seattle will go to 5-4. And right in the thick of it.
Kansas City has really hit the skids right. You know, Derek Thomas being benched, he's not performing on defense, getting the sacks, had the big start to the season, and then just has absolutely disappeared.
Second down and 10 for Wheelahan. Moves up nicely in the pocket. Throws a pass, which ricochets off the palms of Michael Ricks. Here you see the Jets one against Buffalo. And Seattle is about ready to beat Kansas City, and the Chiefs will have lost another game, and Seattle will go to 5-4. San Francisco from behind beat Carolina
without Steve Young. There's Denver playing here without John Elway. Doesn't good to have a terrific ball game.
Third down and 10. Wheelan as he throws by Tanabasa. And the pass caught by Freddie Jones. He only picks up 2, which sets up 4th down and 8. And St. Louis today beat Chicago. I thought the Bears were putting the point.
I thought they would win that ball game. First, they had quarterback problems as well. Rams having all kinds of problems going into that ball game.
No timeouts. Wheelahan throws incomplete at about the 29. And the receiver, Webster Slaughter, had gone out of bounds and come back inbounds because the official on that side threw his head off and in the foul territory.
He was an ineligible receiver from that point forward. Once you go out of bounds, you can't come back and be the next guy to touch the ball. You can catch a ricochet pass, but you can't be a clean receiver.
Next Saturday, NASDAQ MX College Football puts up regional matchups. Notre Dame against Navy, 11th ranked Arkansas against number 2 Tennessee. It's next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on the NASDAQ MX College Football.
Proud father of a daughter that graduated from Tennessee.
Yes.
Go Vols.
They are undefeated still.
Correct? Yes. Oh, listen, I've got I'm all up to date on that one.
Kansas State is unbeaten. UCLA got a scare last night.
With Ohio State losing yesterday, it's all up in the air as to who 1 and 2 will be playing for the national championship.
No doubt here as the Denver Broncos win their 10th consecutive regular season game dating back to last year. They win their 9th in a row this year. They've won 21 consecutive home games going back to 95. And they've won 14 consecutive games, including the postseason, going back to last season. Impressive.
Very impressive. Of course, they are also winning world championships along the way as well. And that did it right there. That took it right down to 40 seconds. And that will end it. Mike Shanahan going over to congratulate June Jones
And the Chargers. Is 19-0 possible for this team?
It's possible, but let me tell you, it's a tougher job, I think, than when Miami did it. I played in the ball game in Super Bowl VII against Miami. I was playing for the Washington Redskins. Actually, I was on the roster holding extra points. I wasn't really playing. Tougher job right now to do, to win and to finish with a perfect season.
All right, for now, for Sam Weiss, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Mile High Stadium. Final score is in as the Broncos prevail 27-10. You're watching the NFL on CBS.